This is nothing. I know what you did last summer. Ooh, what a crock of shit.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
Well, Spookies, we have an absolutely massive announcement for you. Girls, how long have we been doing Spooky Tuesday?
Almost 3.5 years?
4 years?
3.5 years?
Yeah.
3 and 3/4?
We're on our 4th season, so we're almost to our 4th birthday. And so we're
not 5 yet, so we're still counting like every month.
Yeah.
So.
And because, we're under 4, before that, we didn't want to be, having a job before when we're a child, you know what I mean? Like child labor laws would stop us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why exactly. So that's why we never monetized the podcast, obviously, because we were just little babies and we couldn't do that because it's illegal. But once you're 3.5, you can do whatever you want. That's what I've heard. Because Spookies, we are finally launching our Patreon.
Yay! Do you want perks? We've got perks.
Perks on perks on perks. So you can check them all out if you go to patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday. But let us outline some sexy little Patreon tiers for you. Start it off for me, Chelsea.
First up, tier 1 is our general support tier, and it is a clear reference. If you just want to show us your love, and if you want to put a little clear reference in the universe to tell us that you love Spooky Tuesday, it'll only cost you $2 each month, and we will feel it in our hearts.
Yeah, all of our tiers are based off of our sexy little verbal tics that we say on the podcast all the time. So these words will probably sound familiar to you if you've been paying attention.
So we obviously have this podcast to express so many of our gay thoughts, but do you have a safe space to express yours? With tier 2 and only $5 a month, you'll get access to our Discord server where you'll be able to chat with us and other spookies about all the fun movies that we watch. And we'll give you an Instagram shout out that will live forever on our highlights.
And just so you know, all of our listeners are really fucking cool. So this is going to be like a very sexy space, the Discord. Very exciting conversations happening. But if you want more, if you're saying, oh my God, I want to pay more than $5, I want to pay maybe $8. Well, let me tell you what that will get you. That'll get you to our see you next Tuesday tier, which is the cunty little thing I say at the end of every episode. That'll get you ad-free episodes because we've heard your complaints. We have ads now, and they're not going away unless you join this segment, unless you get tier 3. You'll also get bonus exclusive content. Whoa, that could mean anything, and it will mean anything. Trailer reactions. That video that I sent to Chelsea and Sydney over the weekend where I did an interpretive dance to the X-Files theme song. Like weird stuff that we do that's just for us, but now you can see it sometimes. And won't that be something? You'll also get access, and okay, this one's huge, quarterly voting. We will let y'all vote on what movie we should do for a horror movie episode. Once a quarter. We're not letting you do it every month. Calm down. But quarterly, it'll be up to you.
That's 4 movies a year, okay?
That's 4 a year. That's
a
lot.
Deal.
That's a lot. And you'll have access to the Discord server. So if you just keep saying, like, I don't know, The Conjuring 4, that's a terrible example. I don't even know if that exists yet. Like, if you keep saying it over and over again, you might subliminal message us into doing it. You never know. It could happen. But with that, you'll also get access to the Discord server, like we said, and the shout out as well. So we're really excited to be doing Patreon. And with that, we're adding to our facelift. We did our beautiful new art a few months ago. Shouts out to Ryan Brom. But now we have an entire new website. So you can come and look at all of the so official. It's www.spookytuesdaypod.com. Pretty exciting. If you're the person who has spookytuesday.com, you're going to meet these hands soon. But spookytuesdaypod.com. And you will see a beautiful photo shoot that we did in Sydney's hometown. It's cult themed. We look gorgeous. And all the information that you could ever want is there. An A to Z list of every single movie we've ever covered, a list of all of our collaborations, all the ways you can follow us on social media, reaching out to us via email. All of it's right there. So check it out. It's beautiful. And go onto Patreon and support us, because it's hard doing a podcast that comes out every single week. It takes a lot of time. And so we would love your support. So thank you, Spookies.
And not only is it a special week because we have incredible special news, but we also have an incredible special guest with us this week.
Oh, hi. So sorry. I'm not Julie James. I know I look so much like her. But I am Josh from Super Scary. Hello, how are you, ladies?
Hi,
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Josh.
Welcome,
I'm
Josh.
so excited to meet you.
Yes.
I was shocked because when I saw you for the first time, I thought that this was your hair because I've never seen you before. And I just thought you were a lovely man with beautiful, gorgeous hair. Definitely not the hair of a depressed person. A depressed person couldn't have hair like this.
A depressed person could never do this.
Could
What
never.
actually I kind of love about this working out this way is we have two Sarah Michelle Gellar's and two Jennifer Love Hewitt. So it's like
Exactly.
the perfect setup.
And what could we possibly be doing this week if we have two Jennifer
what's
Love
that
Hewitt
relevant for?
and two Sarah Michelle Gellers, three named beauties? Oh my God.
Oh.
Wow.
I Know What You Did Last Summer, the 1997 classic.
I know what you did last summer.
Summer.
I don't know that I love that. Somebody else try it. Somebody else hit that note a little different.
Oh, I got you. Because we're doing I Know What You Did Last Summer, because this is I Know What You Did Last Summer. You have to say it kind of like metal.
Maybe.
Or you've got to do like your wrestling announcer
To be
voice.
clear,
Summer.
if you still don't-
I know what you did last summer.
if you don't understand what's happening, will it add more clarity to say what we're doing is I know what you did last summer, where this summer we're doing all of the I know what you did last summer movies? I don't know. Did that come through? I hope so.
Oh my
We
God.
explained it on the last episode, but yeah, that's what's happening. It's I know what you did last summer, but that's annoying to say it twice, so you just need to say it
You have to just
aggressively.
growl
So
or
One
aggressive.
time
after
really
Grab it by the
dramatic
balls.
pause. Yeah.
I know what you did last summer.
Your voice has to go down 4 octaves, otherwise it
think.
doesn't count.
They don't know.
I think it
Otherwise,
sounds
they
really
can't put
good.
the pieces together.
Josh looks like he
It's-
likes it.
I love it. It reminds me a lot of a song that's been in my head recently, which is Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter, where she's like, motherfucker. It's like she gets
It
real
is
country
that.
with it.
Should I do a little twang? I know
I
what
know
you
what
did
you
last summer.
Maybe.
There we go. I don't like that.
It's giving. I love.
I don't know if I like
We're trying out different variations throughout the episode, maybe throughout
Yeah,
the whole
summer.
summer, maybe. I mean,
We've
who
got
knows?
2 more movies.
We've got two.
to
We've got two
really
more
nail it.
episodes to really
Oh,
figure out what
God
our
bless
theme
you.
is.
God
Oh
bless
my
you for
God.
including the third one in your.
She's
I
part
have
of the
never
family.
seen it.
I've never seen
I'm
the third one
scared.
either.
We'll
It
find
came out like 7 years after the other one, so that's how you know it's got nothing to do with it.
Mm,
But there's
yeah.
a 4th one coming out next year too. So we've got to prep everybody. Everybody's
Yeah.
got to
We have
rewatch
to
it
be
so
ready.
they're ready.
Yeah.
We want all of our listeners to be prepared for the subsequent film. So I mean, we've already introduced ourselves, but I just want us to introduce ourselves as the characters that we are and the moment of the film that we are. So,
Mhm.
Josh, you go first. I'm gonna go second because we're the same person. You go
Yeah,
first.
well, I am just such innocent, virginal Julie James before she gets dicked down on the beach, which sounds
Best
horrible, by the
place to
way.
do it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't.
What a great place to lose your virginity.
Lots of
So much
questionable
sand.
choices made that night.
Yes. So this is before I commit murder.
And you can tell
Oh,
because her
Yeah.
hair is so luminous
it's
and it's
glossy.
bouncy and it's
Oh,
glossy. And
yeah.
conversely, am depression Julie. I didn't curl my hair, as you can see. I actually spent hours straightening it, so I could have gone earlier. I should have just I don't know, ran a marathon before.
Make your bangs a little piecier, like they're just like
Yeah.
stitched together with
Try.
little bits of stress sweat.
Yeah.
Those 90s PC bangs, though, it's probably like 4 pieces of hair
I
that she
could do
has
that.
as bangs
That's the
at
kind of
all.
bangs I would have because I have no hair, so I can only spare 4 strands.
Okay, but Chelsea, it is kind of slay. You should get bangs. So we could be a bang
Stop
podcast.
saying that to me.
All bangs podcast.
Really dangerous that you keep saying that to me.
I know. We're trying to lure you into a mental breakdown so you can get bangs. We both had one and we both did it. So now it's your turn.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I dyed my hair pink.
Midlife
Is that
crisis.
not enough for you?
Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dyeing your hair is a definite sign of you went through
I get
something.
it bleached twice a year. That's a cry for help.
Okay, that's fair. And I'll let you have it.
But also, you should
pink
get bangs.
Oh my
Pink
god.
bangs. Remember 2 episodes ago
Imagine
or
if
whatever
I
episode it was?
Bangs fully brown, pink hair, fully brown bangs. I don't know that that's a look.
It could be a
I mean,
look.
Dua
could be.
Lipa did it. Like,
I'll Google later. I'll do my research.
Okay, Chelsea and Sydney, who are you
Sydney
as
first.
in the film?
Okay. I am Helen Shivers, which also, fun fact. Okay, so my mom, her name's Helen, right?
There you
Also
go.
hot
my
Authentic.
but my great grandma on my mom's side, her maiden name was Shivers.
Stop.
Wow.
And she named her daughter Helen because my mom is named after my grandmother. So I was like, I just feel like a real connection to this bitch.
As you
She
should. That's
is Helen
crazy.
Shivers.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Do you have a
Uh,
23andMe to like confirm that? Because
Are you calling her a liar?
well, no, I would never.
I don't know. I do love to
Facts,
lie,
Jack.
but I'm not lying about that. Everybody loves to lie.
Yeah, I mean, just a little one.
I am cunty Helen Shivers drinking a Diet Coke in her kitchen after getting back from her and Julie's road trip to like bumfuck nowhere.
The stick.
So you're like
Yeah.
a little depressed, but you're not like at the end of your rope, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm having a
Oh.
She still
Diet
has
Coke,
long
so
hair.
I'm fine.
She still has long
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, I
And
still
I'm
have
like,
my long pageant hair.
You still are like beautiful, and hair is like everything to you. And I'm like bottom of the barrel crisis, Helen Shivers, short
Moments before
hair,
death.
scared for my life. Yeah, like things could
Also-
go wrong. I'm like my boyfriend who I hate, who's not really my boyfriend, but maybe there's something going on with us right now. He's nearby, but he's really bad at his job. So like I'm not feeling secure.
As you should. And you're forced to be doing your little princess wave when your life is at stake. So you're really going through a lot, babe.
And also, you
Yeah.
gotta sit on the stage, which the previous year one didn't have to.
I
I'm
know.
just saying.
Not fair.
They put me on display. Everybody's gonna look at me, including the killer.
Yeah.
Scary.
Actually,
I
the whole town
mean-
wants you
Look
dead.
at all of these
so-
fishermen and their slickers in the crowd.
in like July. Okay, but continue.
July 4th weekend.
It's a big fishing weekend. You guys don't know that?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It makes sense. But before we get all the way into the movie, let me just read the IMDb logline real quick in case you still don't know what we're doing. 4 young friends found by a tragic accident are reunited when they find themselves being stalked by a excuse me, hook-wielding maniac in their small seaside town. The
Whoa.
town is inspired by the town from Jaws, by the way. which I
Ooh.
feel like
Yeah,
is pretty.
that feels right.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
it like not Amityville, is it? Amityville Horror is what I'm thinking. It's
Um,
Amity Island.
Yeah, Amity
Island.
Mhm.
That's
There
what
we,
it is.
there we
Mhm.
go. We got it.
All the Amities are in
Yes.
there. Yeah. So, how many times have you guys seen this movie?
So
I've
many
probably-
times.
So many.
times.
It's
I'm
probably
sure,
one.
maybe 2 or 3, but not as many as you guys, it sounds like.
This is probably one of my top 5 favorite slashers, and I think it's mostly because of the nostalgia attached to it.
Right?
And I
Like, it's not because it's great, but it is great. It's so
Speak for yourself.
weird.
It's great on this holds up the test of time. There's no holes to be poked in anything. It's
not at
perfect.
all. Not at
Ironclad. It's seaworthy. This movie.
Oh, it's seaworthy.
Indeed.
Oh,
I
it's
made a little bit of a boat
seaworthy.
joke. Yeah, I made a boat joke.
all.
Yeah, I think I can't remember because I feel like this is one of those movies where you're like, yeah, of course I've seen it, and then you watch it, and we'd like watched it with our OG Spooky crew when we were doing that a zillion years ago. And that could have been the first time I actually saw it. Like, I'm not sure I'd really seen it before then, or if I'd just seen clips, or if I just had like the cultural osmosis of it being so huge and being like, yeah, I've probably seen it.
Yeah.
But we watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer back then. So I feel very prepped. I'm glad to revisit it. I'm glad to circle back, but I was telling Monica earlier I had beef with her, and I told her I'd say why on the episode. It's because I have
What
some
did I
beef
fucking
with
do?
you're dressed up as Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I have weird parasocial beef with Jennifer Love Hewitt, I think, and it's
Oh my
bleeding
God.
in. And I was trying to remember why all
no.
day long.
Just let me be hot and depressed.
I trying to remember why all day long, because I remember when she did Ghost Whisperer, I was like, actually Meg Cabot invented that concept for the medium, and nobody else has ever
that's
talked to ghosts
why. Oh
before.
my-
But I can't remember
Other
if
people
I
can
latched
talk to
onto
ghosts.
that. Maybe I already didn't like Jennifer Love Hewitt, and that's why it made me so mad. I don't remember. So
What is not
But
to
watching
love
this
about
movie, I was just
Jennifer
like-
Love Hewitt?
I don't know, because I think I used to really like have a crush on her when I was little, but something went
I-
wrong along the way.
Oh my god.
I haven't. Are you doing
Maybe
the
I
classic
reacted
Monica
to
thing?
that. Maybe I
The
had
classic Monica
a
thing where
scary
you-
feeling about that.
Oh, that could be it.
Who
I did a
knows?
classic thing where I would love something so much, and then I'd get embarrassed by how much I loved it, so then I hated it with my whole heart. So maybe that's what you did, like what I did to the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, she's on 911
And
now.
Taylor
It's just one of my
Swift.
favorite terrible shows, but I don't love her on it.
Well,
Connie Britton
yeah,
was the
I mean
original
that doesn't
911
look that
operator.
good. But Ghost Whisperer is incredible. So
I can't watch
your
Ghost
mouth.
Whisperer because it makes me cry hysterically at every episode. I mean,
Oh,
every
no.
episode I was like watching it one summer like 2 years ago, and I was like 4 episodes in, and I was like, I have to stop. I have been crying for like 4 hours.
Meg
It
Cabot would
would-
never
yeah.
do that to you with the Mediator series. I'm just saying.
it's about ghosts crossing over, finishing their unfinished business and
Yeah,
crossing
that's
over.
what
Of course you're
she
gonna
does in-
cry.
It's
The
literally
Mediator
so
series also.
devastating.
But Suze
Oh
is
my
a
God.
bitch, and she loves designers, so you're just like slave the whole time. So.
I'm a Ghost Whisperer stan. I'm a Jennifer Love Hewitt stan. I'm also a huge stan of the hook-handed man urban legend. And why did I forget that entire okay, sorry. Here's some background on me. Every Wednesday, every summer when I was a kid, I'd go to this place and all the kiddies would get together and we'd tell scary stories to each other by this one bench. And the hook-handed man story was told time and time again. And I've heard every iteration of it that they mentioned on their little campfire night thing. And so I totally forgot about that part of this movie. And it got me like so like reinvigorated with this whole story because I just love urban legends. And I love like modern folklore and that sort of a thing. And I was like, oh my God, this movie is authentically great. And here's in this essay, I will argue. I love
There
it.
is
Did you
much
guys
to be
hear that story as
discussed
a kid?
Yes.
I definitely had heard some version of it. We also have covered the movie Urban Legend,
Yeah.
which addresses it as well, which is interesting because apparently Jamie Blanks, who did direct Urban Legend, wanted to direct this movie, but he didn't get his like trailer cut in time to be considered.
Mm.
But there is like, obviously these are in conversation a little bit.
Did
and
this come
in
out
the
first?
This came out first.
Okay,
I
Yeah.
think
that's
Urban
what I thought.
Legend
Keep going.
is 1999.
Okay.
But I think there are a lot of different versions of this story. A famous one, if you've ever been on Tumblr, is I had to look this up to make sure I got the order right. The Mandor hand hook car door version, which is like a version somebody put on like 4chan or some message board, and then it blew up on Tumblr because it didn't make any sense at the end. Man door hook hand car door. But that's the Julie James version. There are the like feet scraping the top of the car. I think that's the one that's in Urban Legend, the movie.
Mhm.
Mm.
And the
then
blood
obviously
drip
Helen
one I've
Shivers,
also heard.
the blood drip one. There's a bunch of them because it's just one of those ones that goes around. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I always liked the one where the boyfriend dies because in that version, like, sorry, it's
Because
true.
fuck
As a
men.
child, I liked that one. Not you, Josh. You're okay. You can stay.
Thanks.
beautiful Julie
But,
James
like,
over there.
Yeah.
they ran out of gas in that story, and he went to walk to the gas station, and then she falls asleep and then wakes up again and like hears like the pitter patter of blood, and she's like, "What's that?" And then she looks, and he's like, or decapitated or something. Something bad. Something bad, and he's
drippy.
dead.
Ooh.
And he's dead. So that's the main takeaway. Is that he's
And
dead.
he's dead.
But yeah, I didn't know until this watch that this was based on a book. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah. Apparently, whatever happens in this movie doesn't happen in the book.
It's
Yeah,
very
it's like a
very
different
different,
setup.
yeah.
And there's like no, other than the original hit and run, there are no murders that happen. And apparently the author of the book is pretty offended that it got adapted into being a slasher movie because her daughter was murdered. And so she's like, I really, yeah.
So
She's
wild.
like, I really don't
It
think
was-
murder is like
Yeah.
something to be lighthearted about, which I understand her perspective.
The true crime story of that is so sad because they never solved the murder until 5 years after she died, after the mother died. And it was because so they solved it, but 5 years after, and they could have solved it day one. The killer was still on the fucking scene. He was like there, but like didn't look
What?
like he had just killed someone apparently. And they didn't like ever interview him. And then he like years later like confessed to it, and he was like, it's so sad. I have a whole link with the whole story in the references, but he
Holy
was like
shit.
That's
a
crazy.
huge like sort of like incel misogynist kind of guy, and he was just like killing women, and it was like a random like he shot her and killed her, and he was literally there, and they just didn't interview him and figure it out. So
That is
such
so
a tragic
frustrating.
story. It's so sad. So I don't blame her. Like there are all these things. They're like, she hated it, and everyone's like, oh, she just can't handle
a
like
hater.
modern horror. No, she had horrible trauma. She wrote a bunch of spooky books. Never did gore in any of them. Just mostly like spooky murder mystery kind of things. But after that happened to her daughter, she never wrote in that genre ever again, and started writing like children's books instead, and nice stories like that to deal with it. So it's very, very sad. So I don't blame her for being upset, but apparently like the writers and like the creators of the film didn't really know that
Her
part
history.
of the story and her
Yeah.
history. They just like had bought the rights to the book, you know, and the concept for the book is really, really interesting. And there's stuff in the book that I thought like obviously wouldn't work for a 90s movie, but like the book is set at the time of the Vietnam War. And so there's this parallel between what our fearsome foursome did with like the PTSD trauma of veterans coming back from the war experience.
Oh.
And I thought that was actually a really moving parallel. I was like, oh damn. So I put the book on hold, and hopefully by the next installment of I Know What You Did Last Summer, I'll have read it.
What's also interesting about the book, and I'll be so curious to see what version you get, is because apparently this author likes to update her books sometimes and re-release them. So she's done at least one update of this book where the Vietnam
no
War
way.
became the Iraq War. and there are like cell phones and
Oh.
texting and social media and
I do
stuff
not want
in
that
it.
one. I want the
Um,
70s one. But
Well, it's interesting with Pat Loans. It's like some Pretty Little Liars vibes. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
Like
Yeah.
that definitely is now that same kind of genre. So I'll be
interesting.
curious. I'll be curious. Apparently, it holds up pretty well as is. But I imagine that the newer versions would be interesting too. So maybe you can check out both in preparation for the fourth movie, which I'm sure will, bring in some of the updated modern technology aspects. I don't know. Maybe the TV show did that too. I haven't seen the TV show, but maybe I will by the end of the summer.
Apparently, the
I
TV show is really bad.
yeah, I think it supposedly it came out last year and I didn't even know about it. Like I read that they were producing one and then I was like, "Oh, it's been made and it's already out." And
I feel like a lot
it's
of
really
horror
bad.
things are really good about being like, here's a project we're gonna do. And then they're not always good at being like, here's our finished project. Do you want to see it? So
Yeah.
they hit the trades when they're like, new thing we're doing. And then when it comes out, they don't want to spend the money on advertising it. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe we're
Yeah.
just in an oversaturated world.
Oh, definitely.
My God. I'm so excited for the actual movie though. They already have a release date for it. It's July 18th, 2025.
Ooh.
Whoa.
So it's next summer. So we're preparing. This is so
Yeah.
exciting.
We're doing our homework.
We're doing our homework, and there was one version that had the guy who did Hill House, Haunting of the Hill House, and he was involved. What's his name? Name escapes me right now, but I don't know if that's the one that actually got greenlit. I will do research and come back.
Mike Flanagan.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Well, I think he's working on the new Exorcist, right? Because
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
who did the last one? It was the guy who did the Halloween trilogy recently.
Oh,
I heard people didn't like
David-
that, but I didn't see
David
it.
something. I forget his.
Not David O. Russell.
No.
No, not David O. Russell, I'm saying.
Oh, what's the
yeah.
guy in Eastbound and Down? And it's that actor. That actor, the comedy actor, was involved in the new Halloween trilogy. Fucking Christ. If I could remember one name, that would be so cool. That's not part of what you do when you have a podcast, Monica. Eastbound and
Okay,
Down.
one name that's related to this movie, and then we can go back to
Danny
that.
McBride.
Oh, that is not
Danny
who I
McBride.
would have expected. But he is in comedy. You're so right. Is Kevin Williamson is the writer of this
boy.
movie, which I always forget. I always
Yeah.
forget like how illustrious his career is outside of the Scream movies, but he has lots of bangers. But he wrote this script before he did Scream, and it just didn't sell because they were in an era of no slasher movies. And then once Scream revived the genre, we went back to this. And that's part of why this movie is considered bad in a lot of ways by some people, or not good, or is controversial about whether it's good or bad, is because people felt like it was a worse Scream or a knockoff Scream, or
Yeah.
that he was like so smart within the genre and then took a step back. And part of that is just because this movie is doing a different thing than that. It doesn't need to be doing, why would you want it to be doing the exact same thing? Scream is already doing that. But also because like he wrote this one first, he just sold it after. So
Also, like, this movie seems like it would be a movie that Scream would make fun of a little bit too.
Yeah.
especially the like that would have made it in some capacity for
but
sure.
Oh my God.
here's the
That
thing. That
You
part
go.
was directed by a literal child.
Literally a
So-
child.
Yeah,
That's the best
that's
part
one of my
about
favorite
this
pieces
movie.
of fanfic or the fan fiction I just said.
It is in a way
pieces
fan
of trivia.
fiction.
It is fan
But
pieces of
it
trivia.
also is canon. So
Yeah.
That part of the movie fucks, and no one can say anything
does
differently.
fuck.
It's the
I hope
best
that
part of the movie.
I hope that child is a famous director now. Everyone was like, he was like, I want her to walk in the street and just scream. And everyone was like, that's weird. And then they did it. And Jennifer Love Hewitt is quoted being like, and it felt really good. And it was honestly great.
it's cathartic.
It is
Apparently
very
kids
cathartic.
scream it at her on Halloween all the time. And I'm like, I probably would
Good.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so fucking
It's the
funny.
most iconic moment in this movie. If you had to pick just one moment from this movie, that's the moment.
That's the one.
That's the moment.
Yeah, that besides the actual incident, I feel like is an iconic part as well.
That's
But
true
yeah.
too. Should we talk
Okay,
about
I
the
mean,
incident?
let's dive in. Yeah.
Let's
I mean,
do it.
I want to just really quickly say that yes, Sarah Michelle Gellar is born to be a pageant queen. And I
Yes.
loved that intro. She's so cute.
She is
She's
so
the
cute.
best. I adore
And her hair is extensions at that part, apparently, because she had to cut it short to film Scream 2, which came out later this same year, also featuring her
Yeah.
in a big chase scene. But her hair looks so fucking fabulous in the beginning.
Great wig
She's
work.
such a queen.
It is just laid. It is so full.
Luscious.
She got the bundle in.
The
It's-
volume.
The smile on her face, her little quip about being an actress and changing the world through art.
Art.
Shut the
She
fuck
was-
up.
was
Are we
nailing
not
it.
changing
They were
the world through our
art?
art with podcast, Monica?
Just with that shit-eating grin on her face, I was like, she knows what she's doing, and they're eating it up. I loved it.
This is my self-promotion, and here's how I make it relevant to your interests as pageant queen judges.
She was
My
mothering
movies
on that
will
stage.
bring world peace. And she is like, look, in her dress later, the one that's similar to mine, it's giving Miss Congeniality. She's ready to be Miss United States.
Yes.
I'm just
She-
saying.
She should be the president. I don't know. She's incredible.
I would vote for her.
Yeah.
And she'd know exactly what hairstyle to rock to win.
Apparently in the book they didn't have any of this like pre-stuff either. They're just immediately sad. It
Oh.
starts out a year after the incident.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so glad we get this
Yeah.
like fun picture of them before, you know what I mean? I love the first 10 minutes, and I think they do a good job of establishing what their best
Who's-
friend
yeah,
Their
foursome
dynamic
looked
was.
like.
Yeah.
Mhm. They're so cute together. Ryan Philippe sucks from the moment he steps on screen, basically. But
Why is he so hot though?
He
Sorry.
My toxic
For-
trait is going for guys like this and like Billy Loomis. Like,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, you can be an asshole to me.
I love that this movie introduced Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. And also,
Yes.
let's not forget
Love.
that we have beautiful step siblings, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan Philippe from Cruel
Is that how you
Intentions.
say it?
I think
Is
so.
it Philippe?
Oh,
I thought it was Felipe.
I
Ooh.
thought
Girl,
it was
I don't know.
Philippe. Well, who's to say?
We'll
Not
figure it out
us.
later.
Oh, dear.
who can say?
Maybe if it's really important, Sydney will dub in somebody going Philippe or Felipe each time.
I'll look at. Yeah, right. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
That would actually be kind of funny. So maybe.
Just like
Maybe for the bit.
it's
It
me
also-
talking, saying Felipe, and then it's Sydney's voice is in there and said Ryan, and
Ryan.
Sydney's voice Felipe. It sounds seamless. I like it.
Nobody would know.
Nobody would know. You're looking it up. Yeah, report back.
I'll let you know.
The
I feel like
girlies
you
wanna
should dub
know.
it in like the summer, like summer.
Felipe.
Felipe.
Yeah. Cruel Intentions is great though. Cruel Intentions is great.
my
It did come
God.
after this movie. They filmed this movie first, thank God. Can you imagine going from that one to this one?
Right? That would be wild.
I still
Also,
haven't
we
seen
get
it. No spoilers.
Monica, how have you never seen it?
Girl.
My God.
Honestly, a bad performance from that's why
Ugh.
we really have beef.
Yeah. Also, we get TV sensation Johnny Galecki.
Oh my God. Yeah. As a 90s
Love
kid,
him.
like I know him from the Roseanne sitcom, obviously, before she
Mhm.
went off the deep end.
Yeah.
But yeah, to know someone like him who like becomes so big later on with Big Bang Theory, it's kind of like cool to see that, you know. Well, he's kind of following in Aunt Jackie's footsteps because she was in Scream 2, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mrs. Loomis.
yeah, all the
Yeah.
Roseanne folk.
They gotta do a horror movie.
Horror
Maybe he
genre.
called her up and was like, I'm gonna be in a horror same year as you. What's the deal? Apparently Jennifer Love Hewitt had done a movie with Jamie Lee Curtis recently before this that was called like Safe House or House Rental or something like that. I don't know. Something with house in the title. And then Jamie Lee Curtis found out she was doing this horror movie and she was also filming something in North Carolina. And so she was like, you get him, girl. And she like showed up on set to support her and was like, you go, girl.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
I love that. I'm so sorry. I only heard part of that because I was listening to the scariest video I've
report
ever
back.
heard in my life. It was honestly a terrifying. This man, Julian Miguel, he has an incredible voice that told me that I was right, and it's Felipe. But he's literally, he's like, we're here today to learn, except he has like a French accent. To
Oh,
learn about
do
how you
that.
say this man's name. I'm not going to do that. I'm not an actor. I'm a podcast host. And he's like, the first name is Ryan, but you already knew that. And he said the next name is not Philippe, and it's not
Oh, kill me, I
Philip.
guess.
It's Felipe.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
Anyway, honestly, it was
Dub it in,
terrifying though. I
Sydney.
wouldn't.
My God. I'll take Monica's little bit and just say Felipe.
Felipe.
There we go.
You got to use this man's voice, actually. I'll send you the YouTube
perfect,
video.
perfect. He's
Oh my
such a bitch
God.
in the beginning, though. He's such a bitch.
He's such a bitch throughout. What was that thing that you sent us the other day, Sydney? That's like any man whose hair grows from his head and it's blonde is
Yes.
evil or something.
Yes.
I sent that.
Oh,
But
I'm so
I
sorry, Chelsea.
say it all the time.
It felt like
She's
a
not trying to
Chelsea's
get in
just
my good
adding,
graces.
yeah. Chelsea's just adding to the list of the beef.
Monica's
I'm
just
not
digging
Jennifer Love
her
Hewitt.
own grave.
It's because she only goes
It's
on
me,
Twitter once
Monica.
every 14 months to check our
Oh my
DMs, where I'm
God. It's me.
consistently sending tweets that nobody is
It's
acknowledging.
me, Monica. It's me,
I
Monica.
giggle at
Can
them
you
all the
see that
time.
now?
Make
I
your hair
can't even recognize
curly,
myself.
and we'll be good. We'll be good.
No, I spent too many hours making it look like this.
Then
You
this
have
is
to
how
wait.
it's gonna be.
God.
Chelsea's
Poor
gonna
Josh,
come
we
into
don't
your
usually
room in the middle of
say.
the night and just write, I still know
I
on your
still-
mirror.
She's gonna come into my room at night and cut off all my hair.
I'm gonna come into
Right?
your room at night, and I'm gonna leave another post-it on your bed frame that says "Get fucking pranked, bitch." That's
Yeah,
what I
she
did
did
before I
that.
pranked her.
But I pranked her back
Classic
by
Chelsea.
not bringing it up for weeks, and
I
she
never-
got
did you
really
get my
mad because I
prank?
never brought it.
Did you see my prank?
Did you see it? Did you see it?
Oh my
Oh my
god.
god.
We're fun.
Oh.
We're a good time.
We're having a fun time. Yeah.
Okay, movie time though.
Movie time.
Here's the thing. The crux of the film is this accident that happens. And I feel like this movie really freaks me out because it really feels like something that could happen
Oh,
to
absolutely.
anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're being stupid, but it is Ryan Felipe's fault. What's his fucking name in this movie?
Barry.
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 Ooh.
That's why I forgot it. Because
Yeah,
it's fucking
Barry
sucks.
Barry.
Bad, not good.
These
Bad-
people
bad
all
vibes.
have like for the 90s. So I guess they were, all born in the 70s,
Helen,
but like
Barry, Julian's
Barry,
fine. Ray's
Julie-
okay.
but like know what I mean? Like I guess the characters were in the book, so they would
Yeah,
have
that
been
was the 70s.
it was
Oh, yeah.
written
That
in the
makes more
70s and they were
sense.
teens, so they would have been like from the 50s.
Born in the 60s or 50s, maybe. Yeah.
So like
Yeah, okay. That
fine.
makes it make sense.
but ooh, my God.
Barry
Yeah.
Cox sounds like a
Barry.
drag king name or something. You know what
Barry
I mean?
Cox is a great drag king name.
Yeah.
That's such a good drag king name. Wow. Okay, put it on the list.
I did think about dressing up as him, and then when I saw the dress, I was like, no, I can't. I can't do drag king Chelsea. Pride is over, okay? Pride is over, and I'm not doing drag king Chelsea right now.
Oh my god.
No. Shut
Pride
up.
is never over.
Shut
on
up.
this
Never
gay-ass
over.
Shut up.
podcast.
Shut up. The beef continues.
No,
But
but
that-
his name is very his vibe. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
sucks a lot. And he
He's
sucks
a
from the moment
drunkard.
we see him. He's a drunk, and he's such a bitch drunk too. Like I have been around men who behave this way when they're drunk, and it is literally like the most disgusting, rank, vile vibes I ever have to deal with, and it's the worst. And when your male friend is just being so obnoxious in that way, and like
Starting
you can't get them
fights?
to do starting fights, being a bitch, yanking you around, probably like has to be standing out the front of the car. Like it's just, it's
Also, okay, like I get it. Who doesn't want to stand up and go through the moonroof or sunroof, whatever you want to call it, and
I do
scream?
that all the time.
That sounds awesome. We've all seen what's that movie that I'm trying to reference?
Perks of Being a
Perks of
Wallflower.
Wallflower. Yes. We've all seen that movie. We've all read the book, and we've all felt the joy or whatever.
Of being
But
infinite.
don't be doing it on the curvy road. That sounds dangerous. You're gonna whip all around. There's a cliff right there. It's nighttime. That's terrifying to me. Also, apparently that road is like the road from Birds. The Birds.
Yeah.
The bird.
Not Bird.
They
Oh.
filmed
The
those
hitch-
parts in California because they couldn't find anywhere mountainous on the North Carolina coast where they were. They said it was all
Interesting.
flat.
Well,
They had to
that
relocate.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
don't know.
maybe
that
him
just-
flying off the cliff would have been the move.
Yeah, maybe they should
That
have gotten rid
could've
of
been
Barry.
great.
Throw Barry
Yeah.
He
out the
could have
car.
just died,
Very
and then the
way.
movie would
Problem
be
solved.
over.
Yeah.
I'd
They'd
miss-
still probably be depressed for a year, but like if that's happening either way, you know what I mean? Let's at least get Barry out of the picture.
Yeah.
And Helen would realize after a time, like, I
He
was better
sucked.
off without him. He
But
was a
she
bad
already
guy.
had their life all planned out.
That was cute.
She had a 2-year deal by the time he would be a quarterback.
He's gonna play for some team, and then
The
it was the wrong
Cowboys?
team that she said. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
did she say the
She said the
Cowboys?
Steelers,
Yeah, it
and
was
he
something like the
said
Cowboys with the Dolphins.
the Cowboys. And then they're gonna have 3 children.
she's gonna let him impregnate her.
No, not this.
Girl, it's too early in
Okay.
your career for that. I think she needs to rethink that plan anyway. I think
Yeah.
once she becomes famous, she'd leave him in the dust regardless. Because let's be real, he's not going to be a football player.
Yeah.
True.
He's too scrawny. But here's the thing. I think that it is like brilliant writing on Kevin Williamson's part to have that whole scene where you see like how much each and every one of them has going for them, like
Mhm.
Cares
They're-
about their future,
Julie's
is dreaming
going
about it, is
to
committed to it.
college on a scholarship. Like, Roy? Is that his
Ray.
name?
Yeah, Ray.
Ray. Sorry, I was going 250s there. But Ray's
Think
great
about
there
their
anyway.
relationship again.
Ray is like going to move to New York. Sarah Michelle Gellar
Mhm.
just won the pageant. She's going to be an actress.
She's also going to New
She's
York
gonna be on
too.
Guiding Light for
Yeah.
2 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, Barry has plans to be the quarterback or whatever the fuck. Like so that just makes it all the more like it makes what they're saying and when they're considering whether or not they should do the right thing, like it makes it more of a question because obviously you should call 911 if you hit someone with your car, but for them they're like I'm throwing away
Yeah.
my future, which is 2-3 months away. Like
The
I'm
thematic
moving at the
elements
end
of
of the
it.
summer.
It's
Yeah.
so well done. And somebody on IMDb trivia was like talking about it, which was an interesting place to have a little discussion in there. But they were talking about how it really is this like leaving innocence and childhood behind and coming into like this darker adult world, both because they've just graduated high school and are about to go off to college, and also because now this terrible thing has happened when before they were kind of able to live in this like teenage mindset of I'm invincible. And now
Yeah.
not only are you an adult and you're responsible for yourself and your life and your future and making that happen, but also that terrible things can happen to you, to other people at any moment. And it was really interesting just
Burst
the way
that
that
bubble.
they
Yeah.
framed
Mhm.
that. Yeah, and it's so interesting to me that they would skip that in the book. I'm sure there are like flashbacks maybe or whatever, at least to the accident itself.
I'm
But it
glad
is
they
such
added
a
it in
good-
though.
yeah, you need it because something else on IMDb trivia was talking about how this movie is like a little camp in some ways, and is like a little silly, not necessarily on purpose exactly, but the ability to like ground it in that very serious what would you do to preserve your future when you can't undo the mistake you've already made? Like, I don't know, it's super interesting. Just to really drive that home, because that's the audience you're going for. You know what I mean? Like slashers are often aimed at teens, and to speak right to that audience of like, you're becoming an adult, you're growing up, you're not even allowed to see this movie. It's R-rated. You can't see it until you're 17. So you're going to be, you know, right around the same age as the characters. You're probably on a similar trajectory. Imagine if something completely changed your mind, completely changed your life in that moment. Like, how do you cope?
Totally. No, this would like hit the demographic like right in the nuts, right? To put it in beautiful terms. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's terrible to like consider like what they're considering, but like I don't blame Ray, especially in his shoes, which are different than the rest of the group, because he doesn't like come from money and all of that. He's like, this is gonna end up on me, and it's true. Like, are they gonna believe that Barry wasn't driving because there's alcohol everywhere? The alcohol spilled all over the car. Like, I can see how they get to where they're going,
where they're like, there's no way that anyone will ever believe this was an accident, even though it was an accident, and even though the driver was sober. Obviously, they still would have some responsibility, because Ryan Felipe is out there fucking shit up for them, to being disruptive to the driver. So like, you know, they are responsible for not driving responsibly on the road. But it's interesting the way they do it too, because like, again, Ryan Felipe, Barry is the one standing up out of the car, dropping the alcohol, being a fucking nuisance. But Ray is the one driving, and so they all kind of get in this position where it's like, you're not just risking your own future. Are you willing to risk your boyfriend's future? Are you willing to fuck up your best friend's life, not just your life? It's this like not shared responsibility for the crime even so much as like this shared responsibility for your friend's future and life going forward. And like, are you gonna fuck it up for them even though that's the right thing to do? It's a heavy burden to bear.
And also, their frontal lobes are so not developed.
Yeah, that's true.
Big facts.
So,
seriously,
like, imagine
also
if that happened to you when you were 18.
I actually did just watch another TV show last night. I don't think it's super new. I'm not sure, but it was about the first episode at least is about like a hit and run, and like this kid, he's in high school, and he like is just not processing and walks away, and then he's like, I'm gonna turn myself in, and then it's like, well, it's a bigger story because then the mafia is involved, so it's like he shouldn't, because then the mafia will kill him. So
that's such a left turn. Like, oh, and the mafia is involved.
And the mafia is here.
I'm watching Under the Bridge right now, and that also deals with like kids dealing with crime and like and not understanding like the lifelong ramifications every decision that they make have, because they're freaking like 14 years old. That's a really interesting show. If you guys want to. But Sydney, to answer your question, and it's gay. I don't think they don't have cell phones, because the cell phones didn't happen. I don't think they have cell phones.
Probably
cell phones
happened,
but they
weren't common enough. But Barry
probably
had
money, so you would assume that he would have one. If Billy Loomis could have one the year prior, Barry can have one now.
I bet he has one, but it's just like they're not in the habit of carrying them around everywhere. You don't live with it in the same way.
Yeah, they just have their pager.
Who's he gonna call? He's with everybody. You know what I mean?
Exactly. All of his homies are right there.
Yeah, like, they won't remember the phone number for 911.
They should have a car phone.
Oh,
I just recently watched the
maybe it got ruined in the crash.
Oh, maybe.
I don't think so, but I love the bird cage. What happens with the car? There was a car phone in the bird cage. I don't remember that.
Yeah. What's her name? Martha May. Who?
Martha May.
That lady.
Yeah.
That lady.
Yeah.
That
Christine
actress is in
Baranski?
it. Yes.
Love her.
She is like the biological mother of Robin Williams' son in that movie. So like they invite her to come to the dinner because he has a fiance, blah blah blah, with some
it's a great
conservative parents. If you haven't watched it, I just spoiled half of the movie for you. You're welcome. But yeah, so she's like driving to come meet them, and she's like in her like fancy car, and she's like, hey, I'm coming, see you in like 30 minutes. And she has this like cunty like headscarf on and everything. But yeah, anyway, my point is that she had a car phone, and I think that was before this movie.
The car phone is a whole vibe, so that makes sense that that would exist.
Yeah.
It would be good for them to have some sort of OnStar type situation, then they wouldn't have had to make the decision at all. It would have been already
OnStar would be like,
made.
hello, you have Crash? Yeah.
Right.
You have Crash. But I mean, we've been talking about deep philosophical things, but let me say something stupid.
Okay.
When the actual crash occurs and the body hits the hood and then smacks Barry in the fucking face, does it not give Fabio goose on the roller coaster? It does. Sorry. It had to
Sorry,
be
Fabio.
said.
Had to bring it
Sorry,
up.
Fabio.
Fabio's
I've
one
seen
of our
him in
number
real
one
life one
listeners.
time.
Aw.
I did a spin class and I came outside to almost throw up, and I looked up and there's an equinox across the way, and a man came out and it was Fabio, and we briefly locked eyes and I was like, don't look at me right now.
Don't look at
Fabio.
me.
I'm about to throw up from
You lock
Soul
eyes with him, you go,
Cycle.
"Bleh."
He doesn't need more trauma after the goose
After the
incident.
goose.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's already bad enough, but then getting hit in the face with the dead body is pretty bad.
Oh yeah.
And also to have fucking what's his name? Johnny
Max?
Galecki show up.
Yeah.
That is just terrible.
Of course. Like
Bad
terrible
timing.
timing.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And,
I
like-
thought Barry played it off really well that he was
did.
That was
gagging.
smart.
Like,
Yeah.
Especially because he stole that Bloody Mary shooter that was intended for Julie. You know whatever that little
Mhm.
red
Yeah, a
shooter
little
was,
oyster
the slimy
shooter.
one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see. I have a plot hole question
Mhm.
that's later on, but we're almost there anyway. Why does Mr. Hook-handed Man kill Max?
Okay, actually, this was addressed a lot in IMDb trivia, and so now
Like,
I'm the
why?
keeper of everything on there now. By the way,
To
Um,
establish that it's a
She is
slasher
ready.
and there
Yeah,
will
I
be
don't need to-
slashings.
I
like-
read that whole thing and I was like, I don't need to think for myself this episode. Oh, thank God. But part of the reason why it's in the movie is because they shot the movie. It was not part of the movie, and then they went. He's the fisherman and the killer is very sinister in the first half, but he's not doing anything, and there's no way to impress upon our characters the stakes of how serious this is. So we need to have a kill earlier on, and so Max gets got. But also, when I was watching, I was just like, well, Max comes across the scene of the crime. The fisherman, he's not at his best. He just got hit by a car. So you can imagine that he could, to some degree, just extrapolate that Max knew more about what had happened than
How is he
did.
conscious enough for this?
right?
But IMDb trivia says that the killer overheard Barry confronting Max. And we know obviously he's in that scene right
Oh.
after. And so he knows that Max can tie the four of them to the crime. And obviously, as we find out later in the movie, the crime is not just that they hit someone with their car and ran off. It's that they hit someone who was doing a murder. And so he doesn't want anything to be investigated and him to be tied to the crime and found out as a murderer. And also he doesn't want the police to get involved with the four main kids and for them to
'Cause
be
he
less
wants to kill 'em.
accessible to him. Yeah. So it makes actually a lot of narrative sense, but you have to do some extrapolating to get
You got to
there.
do some extra homework to get
But
there.
I was
okay,
just
I
like,
accept that.
I very early on was like, okay, damn, Max catching strays in this movie.
Right.
That sucks. But also, again, once you get the reveal that the killer is not just out for revenge or justice, he was a murderer the whole time. It's like, well, yeah, I bet he doesn't have that many compunctions about killing somebody, so makes sense.
Well,
Yeah.
and also Max is like a little bit of a red herring at the beginning because Barry
Yeah.
thinks Oh, it's Max.
Mhm.
It's clearly Max. And then this movie had to be like, actually, it's not Max.
I don't want Max taking any credit for my work, so he has to go.
Yeah.
That was such a good kill too.
Mhm.
And
It's
honestly,
maybe
Barry
one of the
isn't-
better
And that's where
kills.
the hook comes from too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually, what's crazy about that is if they filmed that after everything else, like that's the origin of the hook. Is that
Well,
it was there?
No, he's a fisherman already.
That's true.
So he
But
already
that's
has
like
a
the
hook.
way it's introduced in
Yeah.
the movie. So
Totally
maybe
fair.
they had another scene and then they like shuffled it or rearranged it or recut something. But that he pulls it from there is so interesting in the grand scheme.
So good. I think also, sorry, I blew right past this, but I think that so I was moved this time emotionally by the film. I think it was very sad when Depression Julie comes into the picture when I come in with my overalls and my
She's
comfy
an
little
overall girl now.
glasses and all of my jaunty necklaces or whatever. And one, I think that the killer has really cool handwriting. That's one thing I wanted to say. And the other thing that I want to say is that God, everyone knows how to dogpile on each other in this. Like, poor Julie, her dad's dead. Her mom is like, you're fucking flunking out of school. And she's like, your father would be rolling over in his grave. Oh my God. How will she get out of her depression? My
You know
God.
how she knows that though? And this is just a tiny little spoiler for the book for you, Monica. But apparently the mom in the book, I don't think it says it outright. I think it just, again, you have to extrapolate a little bit. But apparently in the book, the mom has some like ESP a little bit.
Oh,
She's kind of like
Okay.
to some degree like predicting terrible things that are gonna happen.
she's an
Oh.
So
empath.
she's feeling the negative guilt waves coming off of she doesn't know why. But she's getting that. She can't she's an empath, you know what I mean?
She
She's
doesn't need
taking
that in the movie
in.
though. Because
I
literally
think it's
Julie
there.
James is the picture of depression. Her and Adam Scott in fucking Parks and Rec. It's
Yeah.
like the poster child for depression.
Oh my God.
Poor girl. But I think when they all when it becomes clear slowly with each character that they haven't achieved any of those dreams they just laid out 15 minutes ago, it's so sad. I don't
And
know
that
why I
they're
picked
all
up the
out
gay
of
flag. Sorry.
touch. That none of them have kept in touch with each other. Like Barry and Ray, not still friends. Barry and Helen, not still together. Julie and Ray, not together. Julie and Helen, not in
Don't
contact
talk.
at all. Like, not necessarily, they don't have like beef exactly in the same way that she does with Ray, where she's like, I don't want to talk to you. Which is understandable, in the sense that
Sex.
right after the accident, also Barry choked her against the car and nobody stepped in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think it's very
Forgot
understandable
about that.
why Helen is not really stepping in, because this is her boyfriend, and so you can imagine she's either slightly accustomed to this horrible treatment, and or doesn't feel comfortable. But like Ray's whole thing is that he's like big strong protector man, and then he just watches his girlfriend get choked out by his best friend, and they're all like, this is fine. It's like Barry 1 minute ago was picking a fight with Max because he was like, I told you, Ray, I'd protect your girl. Now you're choking her and nobody's doing. I'd break up with my boyfriend too.
Nobody's doing anything because they're all like, okay, somebody's got to bring Julie into line because we just now officially
know.
killed a man.
Right.
And
funny
so I'd
because-
also be like, dead to me, dead to me, dead to me. Goodbye.
Yeah.
See,
And
Well,
Barry's
choking
so
is
valiant.
fun and sexy when it is consensual.
Sensual.
Exactly.
And otherwise, in domestic, intimate partner scenarios, it's like the #1 predictor that your partner's gonna fucking kill you one day. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's hard to. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh no, you're fine. I recently watched I Still Know What You Did Last Summer for my podcast. And hot take after watching that recently is that Helen and Barry are terrible friends to like Ray and
Yes.
Julie. So thankfully they have better friends in the second one. But
Yeah,
I'm
Brandy.
so sympathetic to
Yeah,
Helen for
fucking
some
Brandy,
reason.
yeah.
I have so much love for Helen.
Oh yeah,
and I think it's like
yeah.
they
I
specifically
think
cast
before
Sarah
the
Michelle
fall,
Gellar
she was a shitty
because
friend.
Yeah. Well, they cast her specifically because they were like, we want someone who's a bitch, but also that like you do feel like warmth for and drawn to.
Yeah.
Like they wanted someone who can play bitch but also be likable. And you can see it for her because she is a bitch, but I also think like
But she's likable.
she had a heart that wanted to
She's
be good. You know what I mean?
bitch. That's the distinction. She's
Yeah.
that bitch, and so you have to love her.
Yeah.
I will say one good thing for Barry is he didn't even take a second thought. She was like, my crown, it's going down.
Yep.
I need my crown. He was like in the water, diving down, ready to get it for her.
Yeah, because if
And
the
then
body
immediately
washed
he's
up
a bad boyfriend again.
No,
and,
it's fucking clutched in his
and
hand.
clutch, they'd be like, oh,
Literally
we know who just won
identifying
this.
the most
There'd be so
identifying
many
prop that could have
questions.
gone in with that body, you know. And also how's she gonna explain losing it regardless?
Exactly.
So,
Right.
That crown was so amazing, though.
So
I need that
cute.
crown. All of the
Yeah.
little fish shit in this whole movie, like the fish hats and the floats and all
floats.
of it. I
Love
want to
it.
be there.
This is
cute.
Monica's
Love it.
dream town.
This is my dream town, except for all of these hook-related slayings.
Okay, wait, one more question about the beginning before we move on too far.
Yeah.
Do you think all of this happened because, and I think they should have been more explicit about it in the movie, by the way, but do you think all of this happened because they talked about urban legends and Julie James was like, this is a precautionary tale about premarital sex? And
Yeah,
then
all
they
of this
fuck
happened
right
because they fuck
away?
on the beach. Duh.
Yeah.
All of this would have
Yeah.
been
Like, this is what
prevented.
these stories are about what happens when you have sex too soon with your partner. Do you want to go smash? Like, I thought Julie James was the smart one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was just
Those
so
laws aren't real.
digmatized, and I just really wanted it.
You
Look
just
at
really
Freddie
wanted
Prinze.
it. Yeah, I get that.
You're like, I was just
He's-
really into it.
just in
He's
love.
so cute. All of these
Cute.
lean cut men in tank tops. Oof.
Oh,
I
Well,
know.
both of these men almost didn't get cast because they were too lean, because they wanted like beefy,
Beefcakes.
muscular guys. Yeah, Ryan Felipe's character, again, they say he's going to be a quarterback for a professional NFL team. Then
Could have turned it into baseball or something.
he's a boxer in that one scene. They could have done that. There's so much they could have. Yeah, like whatever. But I think Reese Witherspoon auditioned for this movie at some point, and then she was like, how about Ryan Felipe for one of the roles instead, when she bowed out or something like that, somebody who worked with him. And he was kind of an A-lister already at the time, and so they were like, yoink. And then Freddie Prinze Jr., this was like a very much breakout role for him, and he had to do like a zillion screen tests, and the director, something Gillespie,
I think Ryan.
Brian,
Jim.
I don't know.
Jim. It's Jim. Sorry.
Gillespie. We both knew that the
close.
whole time. Jim Gillespie, dub that over, Sydney. Jim Gillespie really wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. for Ray, and they like kept bringing him back and kept doing screen tests, and he got to the point of like, I'm not doing any more auditions. Like, if it's not happening, it's not happening. Like, stop. But the director kept fighting for him, and then he went to the gym and bulked up a little bit, and then they were like, okay, you can play the role. All right.
I love your imitation of everybody, like if it's not gonna work.
That's
Just
my vibe.
let me
100% of the
live.
time.
Let me
Yeah.
move on from this. But then he never would have met his one true love.
His
Sarah
one true love.
Tyler.
And I don't know, it's just so weird to watch this in hindsight, where all of these people are such mega stars for that time period. But I guess Buffy started the same year as this.
Yeah.
Cruel Intentions was 2 years later. So a lot of their star power, she's all that, those things, a lot of that were coming after this movie. It's just so hard 25 years later to look back and remember the exact timeline. They just seem like such fucking stars the whole time to me.
No, totally. Yeah.
Also, I do know that what's her name? Melissa Joan Hart auditioned for this movie because like she
no, they
also
offered it to her because she didn't get
she auditioned
Sydney.
for Scream, and she like turned it down for some reason, and I was like,
she turned it down, and she was
Was
like,
she
I think she in hindsight, she's like, I shot my film career in the foot because I didn't do that. She must
Yeah,
hate that she did that.
I
She
think
worked with Kevin Williamson later, I think, in what was it? Can't Hardly Wait, something like that. Oh, actually, maybe I'm thinking of Drive Me Crazy when I was gonna be like banger film.
God, I love Drive Me Crazy.
Well, I think she turned it down because she felt like it was a ripoff of Scream. At least
Yeah.
That's
that's
why.
what I read. Yeah.
No, yeah, that was it. That was it. Which, like, yeah, but no, it's different.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. But I love this killer because he is a fake out queen, for one. Got everybody thinking the wrong thing. And also, he is a master of psychological torture. Oh my God. I mean, that's horrible, but like he's really good at it. The
He is
fact that
really
he
good
Oh
at
my
like
it.
God, Slay Queen, but also horrible.
It's cause he knows
horrible,
how
but
to
he's
gut
so good.
fishes.
Well, before that, I mean, he kills Max for the reasons that we discussed, but also to play a prank later that's also psychological torture. Then with Ryan Felipe, he steals his jacket, he steals his car, he hits him with the car, but then he doesn't kill him. So he's just freaking everybody out for days, for
He
weeks.
sneaks up into Helen's room, hears Helen and Elsa talking, and Elsa going, "Ugh, your hair's the only thing that matters to you," and goes, "I'm gonna cut this bitch's hair."
Uh-huh.
Like he's
He
coming
goes,
for all of
light bulb.
Petty.
something I read in one of the articles too, which I didn't put together at the time. It's like, okay, everybody thinks it's Ray because shit isn't happening to Ray, but the psychological torture for Ray is that his besties, but also his love, is being psychologically tortured and put in harm's way. So that's part of the reason why it's a little bit less for him.
I hate
Okay.
that.
I have
Wait, what? What was the Sorry, I just
Ray
was like
isn't
that
being
lady with
like
like the math equations.
No,
Like I
no.
didn't understand.
Ray is being like he's not hit by a car. His hair isn't cut off. Like all this other stuff isn't
Uh-huh.
happening to him. And so it seems like, oh, he must be the killer. That's why they think that because like he doesn't seem to be getting fucked up nearly as badly. But like
Right.
because he's such a softie and he's so in love with Julie, the torture for him is watching his friends and watching his love
That's
be
so
destroyed and
like
turning all of them against him is his psychological torture.
okay.
I
I
don't
guess
like
turning
that.
all of them against him, I can kind of see. But the rest of it is so like this character's tragic backstory is that his wife got killed. And it's like, well, what about his wife who got killed? Do we care about her? And it's
It's
like,
his
no, we
daughter.
only care that this man is sad. I'm
It
talking
was
about
his
like
daughter.
the concept of fridging,
Ah.
which is
What's
kind of
fridging?
fridging. I can't speak to the actual origin point, but the concept of fridging is referring to male heroes in media whose tragic backstory is that their wife or whoever was killed. And the original thing that like spawned that term is some superhero thing, I think. It's often like a superhero genre. It's some superhero thing, I think, where he like finds his dead wife in the fridge or something like that. So that's where the term
Oh, so he's
comes
basically
from.
John Wicking it with the dead dog.
Kind of. But yeah, the concept is like this man's pain is that something horrible happened to a
someone
woman in
else.
his past. Yeah.
Okay,
Which is
yeah,
like what
no,
you're
I
saying
don't
for
think
Freddie
it's-
Prinze Jr.'s character. The torture is that someone else is being tortured. Okay. Well, that still seems pretty good.
Yeah. No, I
Compared to
definitely he
finding
gets
crabs and dead body in your trunk and then you come back and it's gone, that's pretty good.
that shit was crazy. That was the craziest one out of all of these. Like this man, he can't get dumb bitch later on because how did he do that? That's smart. He has to
Somebody
have
on
carts
Yeah.
and cars and all
Somebody
this
on
shit.
IMDb trivia was onto it, and I didn't go back and like check the movie, but they said you can see like a blue and white truck drive past at one point in that scene, and then you see that same blue and white truck in the scene later with Helen and the cop when the fisherman is there. So that's his truck, and that's him nearby on the scene waiting for her to leave to go get. I don't know how he knew that she would leave the car behind to go get Barry and Helen. Maybe he was just like ready whenever. But
It's like, I know what
not
this
staying
bitch
on the
is
scene.
This
He's
is
leaving.
got eyes
his
on her.
whole job.
Yes,
This is
I
his
mean,
whole thing. He's got nothing else to do.
he
So
doesn't know
he'll
when she's
wait.
coming home from college. He's just on top of things enough that the exact fucking day she gets home from college, he hand delivers a letter to her house. So he's taking his notes.
He's been stalking them for months, so he knows what he's doing.
I
A
kind of feel like
mastermind.
I can kind of see a world in which Ray's torture would be that he was the one like left behind after this, who like didn't go away and had to stay and like be there in the guilt on scene every day in and day out. But Helen comes back and she's there the whole, or not the whole time, I guess, but a good chunk of time too. So I kind of feel like I like that she comes back
Yeah.
and that Julie thought that she was off in New York, and then Elsa goes, check the women's perfume department 10 feet away, and she's so cunty.
The sister is so mean.
Yeah.
She's
The
so
sister, you mean-
Well,
mean.
they're so mean to
The
each
hot
other.
teacher from Billy Madison.
What?
Oh,
Shut
another
up.
movie
I'm
I
so
haven't
obsessed
seen.
with her.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not recognize it. I was so obsessed with Billy Madison because
I
of her.
I was like staring at the sister and I was like, why am I so in love with her? Why?
What do I know her
And
from?
I was like,
What is
Googling,
something
Googling,
in me that
Googling.
knows her spirit?
Hot teacher from Billy Madison.
Hot teacher. Wow.
Also, I have a theory about why the fisherman killer hasn't gone after Ray, but I am saving it for our later segments.
Okay,
Oh.
I'm ready.
Oh my god. Well, I have a guess what segment it is now, and now I'm coming up with my own theories, but I can't wait to hear yours.
Oh man. Well, okay, let's talk a little bit about the whole thing with like finding Billy Egan's sister and that whole scene. So I
The
think it's a
red
really
herring, another
Yeah.
nautical reference, because a herring is a fish.
well, they're getting
Oh.
close. They're getting closer to what's going on. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? How could they have guessed that the man that they killed was secretly a killer? You know what I mean? And like, Julie really thought she had it going on. She's like, I saw his tattoo. It said Susie. Like, we figured it out. Wow. Okay, well, no, you didn't.
Did not notice that
Um,
in that scene, by the way. I noticed the tattoo, and then I went, "It's an anchor," because he's a fisherman. Didn't
You
didn't
can
even know there
barely
was a name
see it.
there.
Yeah.
Gotta up the contrast to see
Mm.
it, I'm pretty sure. But I love that whole back and forth with Julie and Helen before they go in when they have no plan. They make so many fun references. They're like, Angela always had the plan as Angela Lansbury from Murder She Wrote.
Oh, I
That's
was
what
wondering
that
what Angela was a
was.
reference for, because I was like, Jodie, that one's obvious. They just talked about Silence of the Lambs, Jodie Foster.
And they had just talked about Angela Lansbury. I was like, I know there's something I'm not getting because because she like, hey,
It's so
Jodie,
obvious.
go
One
call
step to another. Yeah.
Yeah, go call AAA. I thought that was a very cute little horror reference. Kevin, you love to do it. Kevin, you love to have a little reference to another horror movie or horror thing.
Just a
She's killing
few.
it. But I feel so bad for the sister. She's so lonely. She's like, you
Yeah.
want to stay longer?
Right.
Do you guys want any tea? She was flirting, by the way, and she's so cute. Anne Hesh in that role, she's so cute with her little haircut.
She's so cute. She's a babe.
R.I.P.
Also, it's
R.I.P..
fucked up though that like I understand why he did it, but like Ray like dating her to deal with his guilt is icky.
Right? He
Very,
literally was
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, so I think I killed your brother. So I think I'm gonna sucky you now. Like,
I don't know what he
That
thought
should
he was
help.
doing. I don't know
He
if
thought
he
he was making
like
her feel better.
Yeah, I guess that he was going there in some way to scope her out or make amends or
Like be
reconcile
there
something
for
within
her.
himself internally. And then he got caught up in it. And then he's also sad and seeking his own comfort. And for a second, it seemed like it could be good for both of them. And then he went, this is fucked up and I have to bail. But girl, did you think about what now bailing also does to this poor woman? Like,
He's messy. That's messy.
So messy.
That's so
Also,
messy.
I can't believe that she thought his name was Billy Blue. Like, really?
well,
This-
I guess that was the
sometimes
real
people
name
have
of someone in the
storybook
yearbook.
names.
Which is a weird coincidence that his boat is also named that.
Yeah.
But
I remember being very confused when I first watched this movie of like, okay, so Ray is dating Missy and the boat is named Billy, but he also named himself Billy. I remember being like so confused by that whole like
Here,
storyline
Yeah.
because
I
it's
can
kind of
explain
messily
it.
explained.
Basically, they're not saying when they show that picture in the yearbook, that's Billy Egan. And so or not Billy Egan, what's his name? What's the guy who dies?
David.
Who
Oh,
Dave-
David Egan.
David Egan. I'm so sorry. Billy is blue.
Yeah.
But David
Oh, you're saying
that
there
was
is
a
no
picture
real
of
person in the yearbook
Yeah,
named
yeah, yeah.
Billy Blue. Okay.
Yeah, David Egan is the picture that they were showing. The whole reason that Julie goes back over to the house is to bring the
Who
yearbook
in here is
to
Billy
her
Blue?
and say,
Billy
yeah,
Blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Which is like, I don't know how she thought she was gonna do that normally. I guess she gives up the goat right away and goes, "Ugh, by the way, sorry, we killed your brother." And then she goes,
I
"No, you
forgot.
didn't. He killed himself." So
I kind of forgot the twist, honestly, once again, even though I've seen this movie, literally I saw this like 6 months ago at like a Halloween screening. Not 6 months ago. Let's pretend Halloween was 6 months ago. But like, I totally forgot. And so they're like, oh, I have the suicide note. And I was like, oh, the suicide note. And then it's the
Whoa.
fucking handwriting again. And I was like, oh my God.
She's like, that's
I
a
love
death
my
threat,
memory.
actually.
I love my memory. It's so bad. And I get to experience it all over again. It's so fun. But that is a great twist. I don't know. People
it
said
is a
there's
good
plot holes.
twist.
I think
Because
it's well
like
written.
they say earlier in the script, I think Helen says it, where she's like, "How do we know that guy didn't want to die? How do we know it wasn't a suicide and he wasn't standing in the road, sitting in the road, waiting for someone to come hit him? He was just there in the middle." And obviously now we know it was a man committing a murder, and so he's trying to be a little he's not trying to be visible late at night in a curve on the road because he doesn't want to be seen committing a murder. So he's wearing his dark outfit on a poorly lit road.
He's wearing his
but
waterproof outfit so he can just wash the blood off afterwards if there's any.
good thinking in many ways. He did
He's
not
the
think
smart
about the
bitch.
car coming around the corner. But you know, he planned some things. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember what I was saying, so somebody else just feel free to jump in. I don't know.
Okay,
What
well,
were we talking about before?
let's flash forward. We already talked about the crab part. We already talked about the what are you waiting for?
It is
Directed
so
by
good, though.
Anonymous Child. That
Anonymous
is
Child.
It is
I
incredible.
get her. It's such a fever pitch point of the movie too. Like, so they have been psychologically tortured. They have been psychologically tortured. She just
He's
saw a dead body.
gaslighting her. She saw a dead body and then it was completely gone, and her trunk wasn't even wet a little bit from crabs crawling around. There's no evidence crabs had
Oh,
ever even been
how
in
do
there.
you-
You know what I mean?
How do
Like,
you wrangle that many crabs?
He just
How
put his
do
big
you-
fisherman
He's a
gloves
fisherman.
on and went yoink, yoink,
Still.
yoink,
He's a
yoink, toss
fisherman.
him into the bed
He
of the
had
truck.
a crab.
Oh,
There's like a little crab catcher thing. There's like part of the
Or-
thing. They put like a crab cage down there.
or he probably put like a tarp in it, and it had all
You
the
just
crabs in the
can't
body,
see it
and
with
then
all
he
the
went
crabs
like
on
yoink.
top. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely on a tarp.
But how did
Wait.
nobody see him?
And then he said, "Let me put the tire iron back.
Probably left all that shit under there.
Let me put the
He was-
jumper cables in here just so."
At one point that I really liked, like just before this reveal, when she's driving in the car and she hears the scritchy scratching, that's like part of the old urban legend that they're talking about in
Oh,
the beginning,
yeah.
where they hear the scratching
Oh,
on the
yeah.
car and then they stop the car and they're like, what is that? And then there's a hook in the car. So I loved that little like nod to the original urban legend. I thought it was very fun. But yeah, I mean, I would also scream to the high heavens if I
Yeah.
had just been duped that bad. Terrible.
I think that's the worst part of it, though, is like not even that you saw this really horrible thing, but like, are they going to believe that you saw this? Are they going to think that you're fucking losing it? They already thought that you were a liability before, to the point that you needed to be choked and nobody stepped in. So I don't know. The reason they chose Jennifer Love Hewitt allegedly is because they felt she could really project an inner vulnerability, and you do get that in that scene, especially. You know what I mean? Like
No, yeah.
she's a girl at the end of her rope. And I don't know, I'm sure that idea did seem very silly to everybody when it was first suggested. And I think the director was also like, we're doing what? Because some kid won a contest? But
It
it's
fucks.
absolutely needed. It's absolutely needed to let off a little steam, to make you feel the abject terror and helplessness that these characters feel. Like, it slaps. It's perfect.
Seriously. And like from there, things just get more and more intense. I mean, honestly, a slasher's usually like fun and whatever, and everyone's dying, but you're like, ha ha ha. I feel like they do such a good job of making you emotionally connected to these characters that, like, not Barry though, but the rest of them. Sarah Michelle Gellar is who I'm talking about. Like, I care about her, and like the way that she dies is so horrific. Once again, there's that same gaslighting sort of thing happening. Like, she's has to be in front of all these folks performing when she's utterly terrified. Her hair's been all cut off, like her prized possession. There's been dead bodies, all these different things happening. And the one person that's there to protect her is Barry. She's feeling safe again with him. And she's literally on stage. There's 100 people there. She's watching him be killed. And no matter how many folks are there, no one can help her and no one can help him because they just think she's off her
Insane.
rocker or something. Just
Crazy,
like
yeah.
screaming like a banshee for no reason. Like that cop. Oh my God. That
He
cop is
deserved
so
what he got.
what a fucking idiot. He fell into that trap so easily. I can't believe that he would like joke the way he was joking, you know, like about like her hair getting cut off and all of this stuff. Like, what a callous little motherfucker. Like, I just don't understand. I feel like if anything, that's a plot hole. I mean, I guess small town cops are one thing, but like, I don't understand how like her family doesn't come to get her or something doesn't happen at that time if she's like freaking out in public
Well,
in front
her
of a million
dad is
people.
catatonic in front of TV, so
Right.
and her sister is
At
hates
shop.
her
Does
guts,
she have
and
does she have a
then
mom? Maybe not.
I guess no. I
I
feel
don't
like
think-
maybe that's
Mom.
why her dad
Yeah.
is catatonic in front of TV.
God, everybody's got a dead parent in this too. So they're all already grieving before they killed somebody. Jesus
The mom
Christ.
could have
Not
just
Barry,
left. I
though.
mean, they'd still be grieving, but
grieving in
Yeah.
a different way, but still grieving. Whew.
yeah.
But like
One
just,
thing I do love though, related to Ray's trauma or lack thereof, was when he was like, I got a letter too, when they're all comparing. Because I do love Barry's line where he's like, oh, you got a letter? I got run over. Like, it's such a
so funny.
Barry's such a
Barry,
dick, but he is
he
so
is such a cutty little
funny,
bitch. Yeah.
where he's
he had one
like-
in the beginning too.
Where's he said like, "Oh, I know what you did last summer." Wah, wah, wah. Like it's
This is nothing. I know what you did last summer.
summer.
Ooh, what a crock of
Bullshit.
shit. Yeah,
Right?
I was
Like,
like, that could
it's
be our opening
so
quote for sure.
funny. It's so funny.
That's so fucking funny. He is a funny
And
guy.
then she
He's a piece
slapped
of
him
shit,
down
but-
in the car. Ever heard of the word alcoholic? I was like, okay, Julie, good burn. Can you say alcoholic? That's what she said. I was like, you're supposed to be the smart one.
Another plot hole that bothered me a little bit was, you know, Helen gets her hair cut off, right? And it's all holed up in that hat, and she's like, I have my stuff tonight. I'll never be able. I'm gonna look hideous. And then she comes
She's
out
a
with like
beautiful
the
little bob. Yeah.
slayest little bob.
Yeah.
Like, the best little 90s bob. I was like, okay, girl.
What do they call
She
the-
loves her
a
hair. Of
lob,
course
a
she's
long bob.
Yeah.
Of course, she's going straight to the salon to get it fixed. To the salon or
But that was
whatever.
like- But that was her whole thing. She was like, I won't have time to like get this fixed. Like it's tonight. And then she shows up, incredible hair.
Turns out she looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got to make
Well,
it's a
you know what? I
priority.
see
It's a
that
high
for her.
priority.
She's like, he fucked up my hair and he left it all beside me on the pillow, much like a body with crabs in the trunk. It's equally devastating. And the crown on her head, like you can see why she is feeling horrible. But I can absolutely see that would be her lowest point. She puts the hat on. She's like, don't look at me. I'm hideous. And then she goes to the salon and she's like, actually,
Actually,
know
this could
what?
work.
actually, I can work with this. Yeah. I think that would absolutely be what happens to her. Again, hair is a woman's treasure or whatever. I can see her being like, you know what? It works if you work it. So
I do love that she puts it in that like ugly ass like beret or whatever it is that
Right.
she's wearing, and it's
Oh my
actually
God.
it's like kind of serving because she's wearing like that
Those
like
hats are
tank
so
top
in.
Little
vest
top.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
her
like, okay,
little,
sis.
what is that? Like not a newsboy cap, but those hats are actually like back in.
I have one of those hats.
crazy. Crazy.
I have two of those hats, and I love those hats, and I get a lot of shit for them. I wore one of those hats on our night out, Sydney, for what's her name? Woman who killed her mother,
Oh,
who
Tipsy
got
for
out of
Gypsy.
jail. Tipsy for Gypsy. It was an homage to Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yes.
Anyway, her death
Not
is
woman who
drawn
killed
out.
her mother.
Yeah, I'm not good with name recall right now. Okay, I'm really sorry. I didn't have time to Google it. I don't want to have to find out the pronunciation of something else from that scary man. But Sarah Michelle Gellar's death is just like so drawn out, and it's so well done. Like it's on the level of like the Drew Barrymore kill in
Definitely,
Scream, with like the long lead up and the dread mounting and mounting, like
The
it's
chase
like
going and going and going, and her getting so close.
so close so many times to being safe. Like it's so frustrating. Like if that cop hadn't like fucked up, like her sister would still be alive. Like there's like so many things that could have been avoided if there was just a little bit more competence going on. Not at the fault of Helen. She's perfect, of course, but it's so scary. And like the mannequins. Anytime there's mannequins.
Oh,
Bad. Mannequins are bad.
I will say, though-
she's the queen of a chase scene for sure, because her chase scene in
yeah.
Scream 2 is also so good and so
Well,
extended.
and she's also the queen of being like thrown out of a building, because it happens in Scream 2, but it also happens in The Grudge 2.
Yes.
I think I've seen The Grudge too.
Wow, Monica. We should do The
Spoiler
Grudge.
alert. Dang.
I'm down. It's okay. I'll forget.
She will.
In The
Yeah.
Grudge, she's so cunty in that too. She's just like
Man.
speaking really bad Japanese and
Washing her hair all the time.
yeah.
Dude, I can't believe she was so close. She was so close, and then she looked back for 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember
And
how I felt when I
apparently-
first saw that. Gutted, just like she
Yeah.
was.
Don't say that.
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
it was right there. It was right there. I
Oh.
couldn't not.
Somebody on IMDb trivia also pointed out that the reason the fisherman is able to get in too is because when Elsa opens the door for her, finally, when the fisherman is like right behind her, she says, "Oh, this other entrance is open. Why didn't you go through there?" And so he's able to be like, "What?" Like, "Oh, let me just
Okay.
run." Let me run around real quick. And he beats them. And yeah, I mean, the Elsa bit is so interesting there, because I feel like there's almost a moment, they're so mean to each other, but I feel like there's almost a moment when she's being mean to Helen and Helen isn't reacting, that Elsa is like, this is how I reach out to you, is by being mean. I don't understand. Why are we not connecting right now? Like, what's going on? It's almost like this moment of care, but they don't know how to do it normally.
Yeah.
So,
They're so brutal to each other. But I did love with Elsa's death that like zoom in on her cunty little glasses, where you can see like the reflection of him with the hook about to and like slow-mo kind of slits her throat.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And then he just throws her in the employee bathroom later, like for Helen to find. It's so sad.
sad.
Mm.
Him carrying her with the hook, and she's like a fish.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Also I have to say this. We're having a lot of Tues weeks lately. We've got a Meat Hook Tues weeks.
Oh.
Meat Hook Tues weeks going on. We just did Hellraiser last week, Josh, so that's why.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Lots of hooks.
Meat hooks are happening all
So
around the
many.
town, unfortunately. I wish they weren't, because that's one of my least favorite weapons. It very much disturbs me. It really
Mhm.
gets locked in there. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Ugh,
Ooh.
gives me the shivers.
Yeah, for real.
Like Helen. Ah.
Ooh, there we go.
Ooh.
It gives you
Look at
the
us.
what?
Kings and queens of wordplay.
what?
I think that the end of this movie is always like a fever dream to me. Like I can never remember what happens on the boat. And
There's
it's
so
just
much that happens, I feel like,
there's
in a span
so
of
much.
5
It's just
seconds.
action, action, action.
It's
Everyone falls
because
off the boat. They fall
also-
back on the boat. They're climbing the ropes. They're in ice. Is that salt? What is that? I don't
It's
know.
gelatin. It's supposed to be ice in the movie, obviously.
ice.
To
Okay,
keep
no, I was
the-
like, what is it in the movie? It's supposed to be ice.
But it's
That's a lot of
yeah.
ice, and she doesn't
Well,
get
to
wet.
keep the catch frozen and fresh when you're out at sea.
That's what I figured, but I was like, why isn't she getting wet though? And that's because it's gelatin. Anyway,
It's
keep
they
going.
wanted it to be pleasant for Jennifer Love Hewitt to film this scene. It's nice.
Fair. I want
Um,
everything to be good for J Love Hugh, as I've been calling her today.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't do it again.
But yeah, I mean, that scene also comes so abruptly because it's like all throughout the Helen and Barry drama, Julia's off on her own adventure with the yearbook. She's just like doing her own storyline at that point. And then
Mhm.
it only like turns back around to the main plot when she goes to talk to Ray and then sees the name of his boat. And then like shit hits the fan because she's like, Billy Blue, that means that you are the one who was talking to Missy and lying to her, which now
That's
means you're
fucking
not
her.
trustworthy, and I don't know what's going on with you, and you didn't volunteer
I
that
don't
earlier
even
when we were all
know
talking
who
about
you
it.
are.
Yeah.
Fair reaction. That is fucking
Very
creepy.
fair reaction.
Very fair reaction.
It's so creepy that he would insert himself into this woman's life and that they would be literally trying to find out who Billy Blue is, going back with the yearbook to talk to Missy. He knows she's doing this and he's still just like, I'm not going to say anything. Hello? I don't know. But
He's
yeah, I mean,
and
she tries to
also-
run away and she runs right into Fisherman's arms, unfortunately.
I know, but honestly, once again, Benjamin Willis being a fucking genius. By the way, the man who plays the killer, his name is Muse Watson. That's
Great
the coolest
name.
name I've ever
Absolute slay.
heard. That is such a cool name. Muse is going on my baby's names list right now.
Oh, no.
Um,
Not
but
this.
yeah, he's so smart. He's so smart. They don't know what he looks like. So he just seems like a nice man. He's so smart. He doesn't have his weird hat on. He took it
He's
off.
not wearing the slicker.
He's not wearing the
He doesn't
slicker,
even have
so
a
he'd
hook
just
for a
be-
hand.
He's just a nice guy. He's just a nice guy trying to protect a girl. The secret is you don't trust a single man except for Josh.
Right.
Oh, thank
Josh is the
you.
only man in the whole world.
That's the only one.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's right here with us tonight. Isn't that amazing?
But yeah, I mean, it's a good ruse because it means he can like start the boat off going away and in under the guise of being like, I'm helping you escape Ray. It's not just that I'm keeping you safe on my boat, it's that I'm taking the boat away from where Ray is, but also now you're trapped on here with me.
Mhm.
But I want to give Muse Watson some shouts because there's a lot on IMDb trivia about like his process and his involvement with this movie. And they were trying to be really sensitive to like Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt on set. I think this obviously, you know, SMG was doing Buffy, and so she had horror involvement. But this was Jennifer Love Hewitt's first horror movie, and I don't know if this is still true. I didn't fact check it, but it said between this and the sequel, those are the only 2 horror movies she's ever done. And so they didn't want to bring someone on set who was going to like get in the killer mindset and then stay there and be method and blah blah. They didn't want somebody who's going to be like horrible to their actresses or unsettling to their actresses out of character or when they're not like filming. And so they found him in part because he was like a really nice guy. And
Aw.
his interpretation is
Nice.
so interesting generally, but also it was his idea to have that like split second scene where you see like the pictures of Susie and him on the boat to like add in some humanity for the character of like, this is someone who loved his daughter. Obviously he's going about things kind of a bad way, not recommended by most
Yeah.
therapists, but you know, you can see the pain, at least a little bit, of like where this is coming from for him. And I don't know, I just think he did a great job with the role, especially you're not seeing him much, so it's nice to like, he does have that kind of unkillable thing though, which is a little annoying. What do you mean? He's literally, we see him underwater and he's like left there and he's like, and then he
Well, for me, it seemed like he wasn't dead because he was just staring at Barry. But maybe it's because I knew that, that he wasn't dead. He's just biding his time. Yeah, I do usually hate the unkillable killer, though. I was just looking because I couldn't believe that Jennifer Love Hewitt had only done 2 horror movies. But it looks like that's true, unless Confessions of a Sociopathic Social Climber, the TV movie, is a horror movie. Could be. Could be. And also, she was on Ghost Whisperer, which is horror adjacent. She was the queen of that. And also, she was on 23 episodes of Criminal Minds, which is horror in its own right. And so, it's not a movie, though. And so, it's true. But she's coming back. Hopefully, she's in talks for the 4th one. So, we'll get more. We'll get more.
She seemed to hint at doing it in a recent interview with, I think, Entertainment Weekly, because she was watching like clips from these first 2 movies. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you because I literally saw it today. But yeah, she was kind of like cheeky about it. She's like, "Oh, is that a thing? I don't know.
What?
Maybe."
I've never heard of that before.
And the interviewer was like, "Oh, so you're in it?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know."
What are you talking about? What movie is that? I've never heard of.
I've never heard.
I know what you did last summer. I think personally for me, a detail that I really love is that his hand gets chopped off.
Not
the
just
detail
chopped
that I
off,
really love
like,
is that she
yoinked
grabs the
off.
flare gun and then he hits the gas and she immediately, it just gets tossed overboard. I think that's very funny.
She tried so hard and she got so far, but in the end, it didn't really matter.
His line is also great, where he's like, "When you leave a man for dead, make sure he's really dead." Like, that is good advice.
Yeah, and then they do the same thing again.
They are not following their own advice.
Found his hand.
They do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because his hand fell on the boat and the other part of him fell in the water.
Yeah.
That was like a really funny kind of like, what's it? It was almost like, what is it? Rube
Goldberg machine?
Rube Goldstein is what I was going to say.
So close. Really close.
Say what it is again.
Rube Goldberg machine.
It felt like that, the way that he got. It really felt like that because he like puts his arm up and it just happened. The hook just happens to be in the rope. And then Freddie Prinze Jr. hits the knob and he flies in the sky and he flips upside down and it chops off his hand. And it's just like this beautiful series of events. I'm like, who could have anticipated this? Freddie Prinze Jr. set the whole thing up because he's a genius.
Well, he is Freddy in Scooby-Doo, so he's a man with a plan. Like, he's
with Matthew Lillard. So
it all comes together.
Watching this made me want us to do that so bad. We need to do that soon on the pod.
Yes.
Ugh.
Still on this movie though, I have to say I absolutely fucking hated the line at the end when Ray is like, "I love you, Julie. No one gets me the way you do." And she's like, "I understand your pain." Like, shut up.
I was
you guys are both so gross right now.
That happened. But also that is so something that like 19-year-olds who think they're deep would do, you know?
And it's also like, oh my God, 1 year later, they're happy now and they're in love because
you can tell because her hair is cute again.
You can tell because her hair is cute and they're gonna fuck. And it's just so silly.
It's stupid, but I love it.
It's like
it's stupid.
Their life wasn't changed by trauma. It was only changed by guilt, and their guilt has been alleviated because the guy they thought they killed was a murderer. So actually, they were heroes if you think about it. And it's like, no,
that's another difference from the book.
Their best friends have been murdered. You found a body in your car. He ingratiated himself into the life of the woman whose brother he thought that he killed. There's still a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Right.
The mom
But
is
I feel like
still
it's been
in a
year, so
home.
they did that in the first 3 months, and then 9 months since then have just been happy, okay? So now she's
Like-
gonna go to a pool party, okay? Things are good.
Like Julie is still failing school. She not
She
anymore,
needs
but like
useless now.
yeah, she turned it around.
It's so crazy how killing one guy can ruin your life and killing another guy, it's the same guy
Can
actually,
fix
can
it.
fix it.
You can fix it.
Okay,
You just
Reset
gotta kill the
everything.
same guy twice and then you're good. And then you're good. But I loved the jump scare at the end. It was fucking
Yeah.
stupid. I loved it. Iconic. I love a cheesy, schlocky ending like that. It's very 90s. It feels good to me.
Yeah.
And I went, ooh.
Do you think that was like set up for a sequel? Do you think that was just supposed to be like one last scare for the audience to be like, do you think it was like a dream sequence to some degree? Do you think the sequel coming later was like incidental to that being the ending shot? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I jumped when that happened because I forgot about it and it made me jump. I was like, oh my God. Oh no.
I don't think it necessarily sets it up for a sequel. If they hadn't had that moment where he jumps out,
Right.
then it sets it up for a sequel because you're like, oh, vibes or whatever. If it just had said the words, I feel like that's like kind of like, I don't want to spoil another movie. Spoiler alert for Friday the 13th. It's like that weird zombie ending thing that's like not really a real
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
and it's just a scare at the end because it was cool. Honestly, it was cool. At least that one was. Friday the 13th one was cool. This one maybe not so much. It doesn't make sense because I don't remember, unfortunately, how I Still Know What You Did Last Summer starts. So I don't think
They
she's
win
like
radio contest.
Yeah.
has just fought a man in a shower. You know what I mean? I think that they
Yeah.
retcon that out of there. So I think they put it in for like a punchy
We said things
ending.
were happy now 1 year later, but actually their trauma still haunts them.
Yeah.
They didn't know if it would get greenlit for a sequel, I don't think. But
Yeah. I think they kind of retconned it to be like Julie is still reeling from the trauma, or trauma, as Jamie Lee Curtis would call it. But I guess the original ending of this film was supposed to be like Julie receiving an email that says, I still know, which doesn't exactly have the same impact as
It
this.
doesn't hit the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
but I love that. It's like AOL, you got
Yeah.
mail. That
Right.
would have been
But
that would have
hilarious.
been
then-
hilarious.
That'd been
It does
so
feel like we're getting
funny.
into Scream territory a little bit with that. And if you're trying to distinguish yourself from Scream, I think it was good that they stayed within their own medium and format.
Yeah, I would agree.
I had one other discussion question, and then I just have a note. But why do we feel like she was able to some degree to be cool with Helen during their investigation, but not with Ray at all? Like, why do we think that she was able to like sort of cognitively
I
separate
think
those?
it's different with a partner, like a romantic partner. Their feelings were of a different nature. She was vulnerable with him in
She
a
she
deeper
fucked him on
She
a
way.
literally
way.
like
fucked him.
just lost her virginity to him and then he murdered a guy
Yeah.
and like didn't stand up for her when Barry was choking her and
There's
that
no way
kinda
to have a
stuff.
continuing relationship after this, even now that we're reunited.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas with Helen, we have so much established friendship. And also, I think Helen, her life is so clearly changed by this incident. Like her manner is so clearly changed by this incident that it's easy to see that she is affected by this. She was like obviously part of the force pushing Julie to get on board. But I do feel like it was in less of a it was in a way that Julie felt more able to like reconcile within herself.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I think that's the main reasons why, it's a different type of betrayal from your partner than from your bestie, because like they were both definitely like Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt, sorry I said their real names, are definitely the most accessory to the murder, like the least hands-on with like manslaughtering or murdering, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
like they carry the least amount of the blame, though Sarah Michelle Gellar does help pick up the body in the end there, but yeah. So I think that there's less blame to be put on her too from Julie's perspective, maybe subconsciously.
Yeah.
There's also something else that we could discuss with this relationship if we're ready to head into our segments.
Let's do it.
Is it time for our
Segamunto?
She's hitting that you thing now. She's hitting that you.
It's hitting the you lately. It used to be segamentos, but it's segamuntos now, so it's a whole new thing. It's
we have to readjust all over again.
I'm hoping that maybe the you won't piss Chelsea off as much.
That's not chance, girl.
But it's time to ask the age-old question. How could this movie be gayer?
Okay, I have a theory.
Okay. This is the segment I thought it was going to be related to.
Yeah.
Same.
So, Ray, fisherman, right? Killer.
True.
Fisherman. And so the killer just gets to stare at Ray in his little slutty tank tops all day, and he's like, actually, I don't want to lose
you
that.
Can stay. Yeah.
So I'm not
like him.
Like, he's got a crush on Ray. Like, there's so many times in that final scene that he could kill him if he wanted to. Like, he could have gutted him, like the thing, but instead he just kind of like bitch slaps him around a little bit, which is kind of sexy. You know what I mean?
He
like,
knows he can swim. He's a fisherman. So
yeah,
he knocks him off the boat.
He's like, this is foreplay for me. Actually, I don't want to murder you. Maybe when Julie's out of the way, we can be in love.
Yeah, he's dead set on killing Julie.
Yeah.
I'm compelled by this because, yeah, he is getting the short end of the torture stick or the long end. I don't know. He's not being tortured as much is what I'm trying to say.
The long end of the torture stick. There's a lot of distance between him and the torture.
Long end. Long end. Yeah. But if he likes torture, then it's the short end of the torture stick because he's not getting that much of it.
You're right next to the torture. The stick is only this long.
I think you've got something there, Sydney. I like that a lot.
I like
that a lot.
Yeah.
It's literally the only logical explanation as to why nothing happens to Ray.
I think Muse Watson's kind of cute too. So I ship them.
I would watch them. So
I could see him bringing a queer energy to this also. Like, oh, you're out at sea with all the other men. Okay. Interesting. And that's your preferred profession.
Being a fisherman gay?
You're on the docks with the men. All right.
Oh, well, you're just sitting out there all day. Nothing's going on when you fish. All you can do is sit there and talk about your feelings and fall deeply
and think about them.
Just saying.
Oh my god.
But yeah, back to Helen and Julie. They have homoerotic feelings for each other.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
We'll talk about it more, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, because Brandy is like very girlfriend for Julie, but Helen is also giving girlfriend for Julie.
Well, especially that heartbreaking part where she's like, I miss you. Like,
yeah, maybe we can get
so
together outside of this. Yeah.
Like, what happened to us? You know what I mean? That part is so sad. But it's because that's her girlfriend. And she loves her.
Yeah.
And they've been separated due to trauma. Oh, it's a tragedy. Josh, you have any gay thoughts you want to share?
Oh, so many, but I think my main one is like obviously Barry's shower scene at the gym or the boxing ring, whatever, like could be so much gayer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, like we didn't get a nice little booty shot, I don't think.
That would have. Well, this is a rated R movie. There's no
gotten
tits.
away with that.
They're really not giving us anything other than cursing, because there's not a lot of gore either.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a lot of
so
gore, but
they're
J.L.H.
like, this is rated
titties
R
look
because
real good at the end.
They look so good.
Yeah.
And
better
apparently
than
she
No Man.
really liked that because she'd been a child star, and it said on IMDb trivia, she'd been developing for a while. She's got crazy tobs. And so this was her first role where it was like her tobs have been part of her body, but they finally are putting her in costume where the tobs are on display.
The tobs are tobbing.
The tubs were tobbing, and she was like, this is helping me make the transition from being a child star to being an adult sexy actress, and I don't even have to do anything like really crazy about it. I just am wearing cleavage top for the first time.
I'm just wearing a push-up bra underneath my towel, but that's fine. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief.
Yeah. No, she looks great. I agree we could have gotten a little Ryan Felipe, but for sure. That would have been fun to see and fun to have for all of us. I
We
think
could have
Elsa's
had-
a
oh.
lesbian though, also.
Can I
She's
say
giving
something
me lesbian.
explicit? I feel like we could have gotten some dick because you get to have that in an R-rated movie, and you get to have even more than that. I just found out because I saw Anyone But You recently, and they gave full urethra in that. It was insane.
Not urethra.
Just if you've seen that movie, yeah, no,
I have seen that
was
movie, but maybe I missed that part.
the anteater part with the Australian guy in the shower. He's like, oh, the anteater. He grabs his penis and squeezes it, and it shows it, and you're just looking down his urethra. I was like, you can do that in R-rated movies? Why aren't people doing that more often? I guess I didn't necessarily like it, but I was
I was gonna say,
excited
did
to
something unlock
know.
in
wanna
your
see
brain for
A
this?
new
or
way
what?
to show hole.
I was literally shocked. I was shocked to my core. I was like, Adam, you're not paying attention. We just saw his urethra. He's like, what? I was like, rewind, look. He's like, oh my God. Anyway, so we could have had some of that, I think, tastefully added into the shower scene, and it would have been seamless, and it would have
Mhm.
given the people what they wanted from Ryan Felipe. So
I do feel like Kevin Williamson is often putting homoerotic subtext in his movies though, because I kind of feel it for Barry and Ray also. Especially it's like you're not letting your best friend get away with choking your girlfriend if you're not a little bit in love with him. I don't think so.
He was just jealous,
Fair.
actually.
He's
That
like,
should
why
have
would
been
he do that to me?
Should have been me.
he was so taken aback because he was like, that was hot. But it
Whoa.
was wrong.
Something
was
in
hot.
him awoke and he didn't have time to process it, but it kept him from intervening.
Wow. A lot of stuff happening to these folks. They're experiencing so much in such a short period of time.
Ugh.
No wonder
Also,
they're
they're all wearing
traumatized.
those slutty little tank tops, which just feels relevant. Relevant to mention.
Definitely. Any other gay thoughts you'd like to share?
Again, there's so many gay thoughts.
I know.
So
Josh, did you
many.
know that she does that when you said that?
What?
You said, oh, I have so many gay thoughts, which is what Sydney says every single episode during this
We have a little
Segundo,
bit.
and it
We
just
do a
came
little bit. And
naturally
I
to
said,
you.
Oh,
I say, any
well,
more gay thoughts? And Sydney says, so many.
Josh is one of us, guys.
I
I
said it, and I was
mean-
like,
One
what?
of
I mean,
One of
It's right
us.
in.
Look at her with her beautiful non-depressed hair.
I was like, at what point do I take this off? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh my God.
Transformed.
Transform.
Oh my God.
Wow. Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh,
Look at
no.
that
Freddie
Oh,
Prinze
no.
right here.
Ready? Hey, honestly, not so bad for having been in a wig for
what
an
point?
hour and a half, 2 hours.
Put my hair up like this and look, oh, it's Barry.
It's
Oh my
Ryan Felipe.
Miss you guys.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. And you're in a slutty tank top. It's perfect.
Oh, yeah. I
It's
was
incredible.
There you go.
like, I'm
Transformation
in the
complete.
tank top. I'm in like a cunty little,
Wow.
cardigan. Like,
Yes, he has that
really-
sweater at the end.
Yes.
That's
Very
amazing.
That's what you were
nice.
going for, and I got it.
Yeah. We see the vision. My hair is a mess, but we got it.
looks,
We're here.
it looks
Great.
beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay, well, now we have to ask the question, where would Matthew Lillard fit into this film?
Hmm.
It's so
Fantastic
like
him.
natural to cast him as Barry, but I think that he could maybe do something fun with Max because I was gonna say no shade to Johnny Galecki, but I have no feelings one way or another about Johnny Galecki. So if he takes shade from this, that's fine with me. He's not giving me much. You know what I mean? There's not much for him to give, but he's not giving me much.
He's giving a lot, actually, but it's not very good. Sorry, Johnny Galecki. He has that one line where he's like, and if you come back here again, I'll kill ya, or something. And he said it like that almost as bad as what I just did. Like, it was so overdone. Love him. He's a cutie
He's
in
great.
this.
Well, he got
But
the role because he'd worked with Jennifer Love Hewitt before, and she suggested him for it, apparently. So, like, I don't know that
You
he was
put his
going up
whole
against a
pussy
bunch of
into
other
that line.
people. Yeah.
he's like, this is my chance. I'm gonna
Mhm.
say it real crazy.
This is my time to. I finished shooting on this movie, and they're giving me another scene. I've got to seize this opportunity.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Not the best. Not the best.
Well,
I have a great insert. I think we can gender swap Missy.
Oh my god, we're so connected.
It's because we're the same character.
It's because we're both Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Okay, but then Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Matthew Lillard could have been in a secret relationship.
Why?
Oh.
Absolutely. I'm
Ooh.
so on board.
Oh.
Should we kiss right now?
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah. That was great.
Oh my
that was great for
God.
me. Thank you. That is so good. That is such a good idea. That's a really good idea. That is such wow.
And it would be
And
a good
Matthew
red
would be
herring
so good at
too, especially after
Missy.
Scream. Where it's
Mhm.
like, is Missy the killer? We don't know. She's giving weird. Something weird is happening. She's maybe kind of flirting a little with the girls. It was gay that she, oh, that was one of my other ones for, how could this movie be gayer? Her flirting with the girls, Missy's gay. And honestly,
Yeah.
in another world, Missy and Elsa could have gotten together because Elsa was in her brother's grade and they're still living in this town. And, who knows? If nothing
they had
had ever gone
survived.
wrong. Well, Missy survived, so she can still be out there having gay relationships. But I would love her to be Matthew Lillard. I would love her to be
and
Matthew
yeah.
Lillard. His
if-
secret gay hometown relationship. That's why he doesn't want to tell anybody about it also, because it's like, this is a whole other disclosure that I'm just not prepared for.
Well,
No,
and
no,
it
yeah.
would be another reason, like a even bigger red herring, because you'd be like, well, he has a brother, and this man is chasing us.
This man, yeah.
And then they find out that they've been seeing each other. Oh, that's why you're not getting threatened. You're like, nothing really is
oh, are
happening
you guys
to
working on this
you.
together? Are you a team still?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Let's
This
do a
is
rewrite.
weird.
Let's do a rewrite.
This
It needs to
has
happen.
layers.
Kevin
to it.
Williamson?
Williamson?
We have an idea.
It's amazing. I almost quoted Macklemore right then, but I didn't, and I'm really proud
Oh.
of myself.
Is
I
that a
just
common
recently
trope on this
listened-
podcast?
No, I listened to the
Macklemore
thrift
I feel like I
thrift
actually
store,
maybe
whatever.
also mentioned
Thrift-
Macklemore at some point recently.
thrift shop, thrift store, whatever the song is called, played during my spin class last week, and I heard the lyric, "There's layers to this shit, tiramisu." And I almost said that right now, but I didn't. But then now I did, and so I'm sorry. And now we're moving on
And
to our
yet
next
I
segment.
did.
Who's
Whatever,
the dumb
Macklemore's a
bitch
king.
besides me? He is an ally. He came up because he's an ally.
He
He is
thought
an
he was
ally.
gay because he could draw. Okay.
I used to really love that song too. So anyway, we're gonna move on. Who's the dumb bitch besides me?
It's all the people. It's Sarah Michelle Gellar, Barry, and Ray for not reporting the cops.
I really think there's a world in which, I mean, like, I can see their narrative where they're like, we wouldn't be believed. There's no way that they would believe us. I kind of think, wouldn't they be able to lift his fingerprints off of the car door? Maybe the steering wheel, maybe the gear shift. Like, there's got to be evidence to support his confession if he's willing to say, I was the one driving. Like, I think they would be able to forensically support that, especially if he's saying it. You know what I mean? If he comes in and everyone is coming in with that same story, I don't think it is so unbelievable that it's like, yeah, my friend is fucking trash and he's being belligerent, so I was driving his car for him because obviously we're not going to let him drive.
Right? I think they would have believed it. But again, I'm
I don't
33, so my frontal lobe is almost developed.
We have a little better power to think than they do. We're also not
Just
like
a
right
little
in
bit
the
more.
few minutes following a tragic happenstance. So
And they've all been drinking at least a little bit, you know what I mean? Even if Freddie Prinze Jr., God damn it, sorry, Ray is good to drive. Like, I'm sure they were all doing a tinky bit of partying earlier, just not as much as Barry.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Okay, they're
it's
dumb.
just dumb bitch behavior. And again, that's an uninvolved adult's take on the situation, but it really is easy. I see why they made the decisions that they did. It's really easy to imagine that things would have actually turned out okay if they had done the right thing from the start.
Killing a guy is always dumb bitch behavior. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In that way. Vehicular
There's
manslaughter
really
is
only
not
one
good.
reason to not report your hit and run, and that's if the mafia is involved.
So true. So true. Okay, that
So-
brings us to our knives out of fives. So Chelsea, set the scene. Everyone
Girl,
loves
things
this,
were
right?
not good in
I know.
the stats. I was shocked actually because I don't know why. Maybe this is my dumb bitch behavior. Whenever a movie gets a sequel, I'm like, that means people liked it. I assume.
I've never done that before.
That's
new.
For the YouTube crowd, I just created.
Oh my
I'm like
God.
Rogue. I created a storm. No, I'm like Storm, not Rogue.
Whoa, I've been watching X-Men a lot recently, and I was like, that is not correct.
Sorry, I always say Storm when I mean Rogue, and that time
You
I
just flipsy
double
flopsied it.
corrected myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
Anyway,
Well, you
Tell me.
also didn't say like a cunty like mother of the storm, like I bring the rains of
I
the
bring the
Amazon.
rain towards anyone who doesn't like. I know what you did last summer.
Yeah.
Tell me the stats. I'm sorry for all my bullshit.
I'll go ahead and I'll preempt this by saying it seems that reactions were mixed in the sense that on IMDb this movie has a 5.8 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes it has 45% rotten from critics and 41% rotten from audiences. That said, it was nominated for Best Breakthrough Performance for Sarah Michelle Gellar at the 1998 MTV Movie and TV Awards.
Love.
Okay.
And it was nominated for Best Horror Film at the 1998 Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films Awards. And it did win Favorite Female Newcomer for Jennifer Love Hewitt and Favorite Supporting Actress Horror for Sarah Michelle Gellar at the 1998 Blockbuster Entertainment Awards, where it was also nominated.
That's an award show.
Where it's also nominated for Favorite Actor Horror for Freddie Prinze Jr. and Favorite Actress Horror for Jennifer Love Hewitt and Favorite Supporting Actor Horror for Ryan Felipe. So, like, did people think it was a good movie? That's questionable, but did they love this as like a foursome and their performance, not necessarily performances, but like the entertainment factor was there. And I assume
Okay.
it made enough money that the studio said, okay, sure, make another.
Let's do a sequel.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was really not set up for success in a lot of ways because they marketed it and then they had to not market it this way because Miramax, who owns Scream, got mad at them, but they marketed it as from the creators of Scream. So they were trying to capitalize on Scream's success by being like, this is another Kevin Williamson movie, and I see why they did that, but it meant that this movie was now immediately being compared to Scream, and it was going to be anyway as a slasher coming out 1 year later. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Right.
probably no way to get around that, but from the same author, I think people were expecting another Scream movie, which they would get if they would wait 2 more months,
Patience
3
is a
more months.
virtue.
Yeah, like literally this movie came out in October, I think, and then Scream 2 came out in December. So like another Scream is coming, girl, but they wanted it to be the same self-aware genre referential, smart, snarky thing, and that's not what it's doing. Kevin Williamson said that what he was trying to do was be like, oh, you've heard about these urban legends I'm going to give you the same sort of thing, but I'm going to show that it can still be scary, even if you kind of know what's happening, even if you kind of know what's coming. I'm going to show that here's what you know, and I'm going to give you a slightly different version of that and prep you for it early on by literally bringing up the hook hand man Cardor. But yeah, I mean, it meant that people were watching this movie, which is the kind of movie that is deconstructed by Scream, and so they came in with like an unbelievably critical lens, and I just don't it didn't get like a fair shake, I don't think.
Yeah.
Totally. So, who wants to do their rating first?
I'll go. I think that this movie is a lot of fun. I don't really think that they need to make any changes other than Matthew Lillard as Missy would slap. That's now mandatory. But other than that, you know what I mean? I don't feel like there were any huge like missed opportunities in what they were doing. It's not like I watch something and go, that was so stupid. Why'd they include that? Like, I think that they did a pretty good job with what they had. They had fun with it. They have this iconic chase sequence. Like, everyone is giving a good performance other than Johnny Galecki, but Max is so not an important character that it doesn't really matter. The set decorations with like the Croker County Festival are like so fun with all the fish and stuff.
I love it.
I don't know. I think to me it's so like I understand. I just did a whole spiel about where the flack is coming from, so I understand where this flack is coming from, but I don't understand where the flack is coming from because like it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's a little camp. Again, their best moment did come from a child who won a contest. So, you know, I guess I can see how like if that's the moment and that's not even something the professionals.
No,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, roll with
beautiful.
the
That's
punches.
beautiful. That's good.
Ideas can
I
come
like
from
that a child did
anywhere.
it.
I like that they embraced it. They took it serious. You know what I mean? Like they said, sure, a child can win a contest and come on and decide something important about this big studio movie. That's totally something we're open to as an idea. But like I don't know. It's so good. It's such a good moment, and
You can give it a 5. You can. I'm going to.
Oh, I'm not going to though.
I'm
gonna.
sad.
Sorry,
the
sorry,
beef
Monica.
continues.
No.
Wow.
I feel like you're talking yourself out of it.
No. I'm just saying. I think I don't think it is ideal for the movie itself that the best part of it comes from something else, but I think it's the best part of it because of the whole rest of it. You know what I mean? Like it just so embodies the stress and the release that you're then able to like get back into the story and see them still trying to navigate the rest of it. It's not like a standout for me. It doesn't have like huge I'm not thinking about it year round. You know what I mean? But I think it's a solid scary movie. I think it's like a solid 4 knives out of 5s for me.
Nice. I'm going to give it a 5 because I love it. It gives me everything I want. It broke out all these stars that are some of my favorite, except for Riot and Felipe. I get bad vibes from him. It's the Reese Witherspoon thing.
I think that's fair.
It's the Reese Witherspoon thing.
And he's so yucky in so many different projects also.
Yeah. I just love it. It's giving me everything I want. We all know about how much I love folk stories, folk horror, mythology, all of that. I love that this evokes that. I love that it keeps you on your toes. I love the hook, even though it scares me. I love that it gets me in my emotions because they do a pretty good job establishing these characters and then tearing them the fuck apart. So 5 out of 5 for me.
Josh, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. I would probably give it a solid 4.5 out of 5.
Nice.
A lot of it is nostalgia for me, just like being a 90s baby and like seeing all these actors in this. And you know, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr., like especially in the Scooby-Doo movies. Like that's kind of where my reference point starts with them, and then to see this movie and be like, oh, that's where they met, you know. And the reason why I can't give it like a full 5 is that just some of the plot points for me, like maybe I'm just a dumb bitch, but like I just like some of
No,
it
you're
was
not.
just like too loosely, like loosey goosey explained,
Fair.
and I'm like, okay,
You have to do a lot of extra homework, like that
Yeah.
whole thing with Max.
yeah. I was just like,
But once again, once you're
what?
like, well, that guy does murders, it's like, yeah, he did an extra murder. Okay.
Oh yeah, all right.
I'm kind of with y'all. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 because what do you mean this is a rated R movie with no tits and ass?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
They're
true.
not
And like
giving full
and
rated.
no
I will say,
Okay.
okay,
blood
wait.
and no
Can
like
I go 4.8? That's really valid. That knocks 0.2
There
off
you
of
go,
it.
there
I'm
you go.
sorry. We had Jennifer Love Hewitt here with those tobs.
I will say, okay, I
That's
started
sin.
watching the TV version at first because it's like on Sci-Fi has it right now, and I didn't realize I was watching the like TV edit. And there's one line, I think Max says it to Ray, where he's like, "You're acting like your shit don't stink," and then in the TV version, they say you're acting like your pits don't stink, which I think is a funny sub.
Iconic. Iconic.
Okay,
That's
that's
so
And
hilarious.
funny.
again, if all you're giving is cursing and it's so easily made into a TV movie, like you're not justifying your R rating, which is interesting actually because the UK release, they marked it as like 18 and over or something like that when it came out. Their rating system is different. And then when it was released on DVD without any cuts needing to be made for the movie at all, they went, actually, this is okay for 15 and up. So
Mm.
in the UK specifically, they went, this really isn't as R rated as you guys said it was gonna be. So
Okay. I didn't
Give
know
us the UK cut.
that.
We want it.
we want the blood and
Excellent.
gore. We want the tits and ass. Earn your R rating. Don't just give me curse words.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, after
Well-
hearing how like filmmakers like Toby Hooper were like, I want this PG, and they were like, nope, R rating immediately for anything that he was doing.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he set himself up for bringing the nasty, so
That's
they didn't
true.
trust him anymore. They didn't even
That's
watch
true.
his movies after that. They're like, it's gonna be disgusting. Oh my God. Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and kicking off. I know what you did last summer. Summer. Do you want to tell our beautiful listeners where they can find you and all the beautiful things that you do?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you three for letting me on here. I had a wonderful time. If you listeners would like to check out my podcast, I am Super Scary Podcast. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. We usually post every Monday, but during summer, we are we're doing an every other week episode. So in a couple weeks, I'm actually doing I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So if you want a little like
fun.
double feature action, you can come listen to that episode. And if you want to hear my collaboration with Sydney on my podcast, we did
You
The Craft
absolutely do.
recently. Yeah, absolutely. Very good witchy vibes over there. So yeah, go check it out. It's iconic.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And we'll obviously have all of that linked in our references. So check that out. And as a reminder, we made our big announcement at the beginning of the episode. We are on Patreon now. So go to patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday and find out how you can support the pod. It would mean the world to us. And also, don't forget to check out our new sexy website, spookytuesdaypod.com. But before we go and close the book on this segment of I Know What You Did Last Summer, I just want to say it all the time. Sorry.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. We got to do our poll question. What should we ask our listeners? Those questions that we must ask. Like, do you think there were plot holes? Yes or no? Do you think Missy should be Matthew Lillard? Yes or no?
What could this movie have done to actually deserve its R rating?
Yeah, and we can come up with ideas.
Yeah.
Show urethra is one of them.
It's gotta
so
show
sorry.
urethra.
Y'all gotta look at that. Just like be
I must
scandalized
have
with
Look
me.
at
been
that
looking at my
urethra.
phone.
Be scandalized with me. I was shocked. It was something I'd never seen before.
Is it
On the
crazier than
screen.
like the Saltburn like bathtub licking? Like, is it on that? Like,
Well, it's not horny at all because it's
oh,
like
okay.
it's not a horny scene at all. He's like
It's like
joking
a
around that his
silly.
dick is an anteater, and he's like,
Oh.
yeah, it's bizarre. It's honestly bizarre.
Oh.
If it was horny, it would be an NC-17 movie. I feel like context is key there, and that would have changed the whole vibe. But yeah, we'll come up with a couple of things that you can vote on that you wish could have happened to make this pretty sexy movie just because everyone's sexy
Yeah.
movie. Actually, horny sexy. We can make it happen in the theater of our minds.
Okay, but next week we're gonna keep up with the summer vibes.
I
And
love this.
you know what everybody loves to do during the summer? They love to go to camp. And you want to know what we love on this podcast? A good
What?
sequel.
So
And
true.
so that's why we're going to give you both of those things and do Sleepaway Camp 2.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. What could they possibly do after the first one? Honestly.
I
Here's
don't
the
know,
thing.
girl.
I've seen this movie and I saw it last year and I remember texting y'all and be like, we have to do this movie. I had the best time.
Okay,
It
I'm
is
scared.
unhinged. It's incredible. If you haven't seen it, one, make sure you go re-listen to our original Sleepaway
Throw
Camp.
it back.
Throw it back, and then come back next week. You got 2 episodes you have to listen to, and I cannot wait to see Monica and Chelsea's reaction to this.
Oh, that makes me
movie.
feel
Are
really
there
safe
male
and
crop
secure in what's
tops?
gonna happen. Are there male
It is-
crop
Maybe
tops?
there's male crop tops.
I think that's the big question.
I feel like there absolutely is.
There have to be male crop tops. They set the precedent that they do male crop tops in this
Are there more
franchise.
hands that go like this?
I gotta maybe rewatch Sleepaway Camp because it's been like 2 years since I've seen it. I don't remember a lot. I remember
We've
the
gotta
soup part.
We've got to do a back-to-back double feature, I guess.
Yeah, seriously. So you can know what I'm talking about. Okay, put in the other parts here. I don't know. You'll figure it out. It's gonna be fine. And now we're back. Okay. It's time for you to hear me say, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Wasn't as good this time. Sorry. We have this beautiful, beautiful guest on with us doing wig work. Not right now, but earlier he was.
Uh-huh.
And why don't you say in a 5-star review to us and to him on Super Scary Podcast? Great wig work. Everybody's really coming through on the costumes these days. You've even forced your guests to do it. That's impressive. 5 out of 5 stars. We've coerced strangers, to Chelsea and I at least, to do what we want them to do. So that's power, and that's
That
5-star
is
worthy.
power.
I also
Wow.
tricked Monica into thinking it was my real hair. So
I really
5
did.
That's
stars.
power too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I'm gonna need you to put the wig back on and send me a selfie of you wearing it. I forgot to tell you about that
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Love
definitely.
you. But also, why not follow us on social media? We're at Spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we are at Spooky Tuesday Pod. And as a reminder, we have a sexy new website, baby, and that's spookytuesdaypod.com. Check it out. Look at all those beautiful photos of us being cult girlies. You're gonna love it. And we're on YouTube. That's the only place you're gonna see us looking like Jennifer Love Hewitt squared and Sarah Michelle Gellar squared. You can't see it anywhere else. So subscribe. And at the end of the day, I have to say, thank you for listening. See you next Tuesday.
Bye, Spookies.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police, not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at great18_. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can find on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's Ryan, RYAN, Brom, BROMM, Art, ART. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.tumblr.com.